UN Spacey Wolf Squadron. It's your Wolf Commander Wolf 10. I'm your werewolf. Here again with a new topic for today, everybody, on a Tuesday of all places. We are talking about prequel storytelling, as in going back to the beginning in the dawn of time where your favorite series began and where it will lead to possibly to how the series began in the original series. Yes, folks, we'll talk about how to write a prequel to an already existing series, what not to do when you write a prequel to an existing series, and talk about some of the prequels that worked for us and prequels that didn't work for us, of course. So with me today is the lovely Leia Valor, Leia Plus Size.
Hello, everybody. This is Liv Plus Size, your lovely lady of valor, and I hope everybody's doing well, and I hope you have fun today.
Journeying across the stars with his blaster in hand is the man with the FN, the man with the mysterious number, Trooper FN 2525.
Hey guys, are you guys ready? I am excited. It's going to be a good conversation. Looking for about 2-3 hours of prequel excitement. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm. And literally my wingman onto my, I'm going to say my right, since I'm facing the screen, coming at you live in a basement with good Wi-Fi, the Schooner Tuna.
Coming at you live from a secret government facility buried deep underground that has excellent Wi-Fi. This is Schooner Tuna saying hello.
Let's welcome to the chat, everybody. For the first time, we have somebody from the Professor Facebook group. I'm gonna butcher his name. Am I? We'll try.
Go for it. Go for it.
Matej Soka. I know him from the Facebook group. He says, gotta go get some sleep, but I left my opinion on Facebook post where you advertise this stream. Have fun, guys. Thank you so much for giving us the word, buddy. And I did read his very expansive comment, which was well welcomed, especially when it basically concerns the Star Wars prequels, which I'll leave it private for him. And of course, we're going to cover the Star Wars prequels in this stream, but not just the Star Wars prequels. We'll cover any prequels that kind of failed, and we'll talk about prequels that succeeded. Join us again is our other wingman, the Maverick Hunter Saint Brian Gill Martin. Hopefully, we'll get him here. Better get your mic, man. I've been wanting to hear you for a long time. Melissa Harris. Hopefully she's here. Oh, she is actually here. There she is, saying hello. She is not a busy woman this week or the previous weeks. I'm gonna stop stretching that joke out now, guys. Samuel Olaki is with us as well. He says, evening people and others. Come on, dude. Just say UN Spacey Wolf Fleet. That's others right there. That's everybody. Sarah Proctor. He says, just when I thought I'd be late, then I remembered this is a wolf stream. Hey man.
Careful, you don't know when the wolf's going to strike.
A proctor is never late. He arrives precisely as he is needed. Okay, who else has joined? We have Eloise Duado. I think you're starting to like this show. I really am beginning to believe Eloise is loving this series. Cause she and I know each other through Ishi's streams, so it's good to know that good to know that some body from their streams pop in every once in a while that I know. So you're welcome as always, Eloise, and of course, what is this in relation to Leia? It says, I see Leia's using her Facebook icon this time. Oh, whoa!
You didn't see that?
Bruh, I'm drunk on energy drink.
Awaken the needs to my feet.
Oh my!
It really does. It really like got a little bit of cocoa going on right there. So
that's not a real face, everybody. I tell you, I kid.
Oh wow!
We all know.
Nice.
She's gonna flog you in private.
I will, Leia Val. I will. Trust me.
I thought we all knew that.
I know the wolf has been very ornery this week, so I'm trying to keep him on a good even keel here. So
Mm.
I'll be
Uh,
nice.
you tell him to be a good boy. And another comment, Brian, I don't know if that was a compliment or not. He said, I see your real face. I don't know. Well, to take
No, it is. It is.
Oh,
I
okay.
told you it's got that '90s vibe to it. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course, it's got that Nubian look to it. Got the
right.
got the tiara. I think I think that's a tiara. It's got the old school microphone. So
Yeah.
instead of WAP, she's more of a what's
That's
a
like
good
SWV right there. Like,
what's a good Motown song that I can think of
oh gosh, I'd have to think. Maybe I'd have
Well,
to maybe look at like Al Green and stuff like that.
let me go something simple. At first I was afraid, I was petrified. Didn't know
Oh
how to live
Lord,
my life without you by my side. Spend many nights thinking
like
how you
that's
did me wrong.
disco. That's
Now you're
disco.
back from outer space.
Be like, get your
That
R&B
I
right.
again and saw that look upon your face.
that
I
or
should have gave those stupid locks. I should have gave away the
I know Leia like this one. Gucci ya ya ta ta.
Oh Lord.
this,
Gucci ya ya me.
And then you got
Woko
Kim.
lele
You got Kim
shada
who
ta
can't
ta.
sing, so she rap. Like,
I
And
don't rap.
Lil Kim.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
No,
god.
no, no, no. My favorite
Uh,
part of that, my favorite part was always freaking Missy Elliott reminding everybody who the fuck was singing. Oh, excuse me.
Okay, that's the only F word during the PG-13 stream.
Yeah,
right.
You did your one F word.
You like
exactly.
you just blew Sound Engraver's ears on the rewatch.
She's gonna tell her like lately. It seems like the wolf has been a very more profane. It seems like I'm going to really think twice on watching his series
right,
now,
right.
or that,
You
or
just gotta
remember to
find
bring
alternative ways of saying the F word. Just like
muck.
say fudge.
Like freaking Kraken.
I like muck better.
Or like
Yeah.
Mucking around.
or like oh French toast.
Mm-mm.
I used to say butter biscuits.
Yeah,
I just
Thank
like
you,
muck.
Brett. I just say, oh, butter biscuits.
yeah. There was a guy. There was a guy I worked with who ended up becoming a pilot. I think he's still with like USR and stuff like that. But he was always like, sugar. I'm like, really, dude? I'm like, really? And this is in Utah, by the way. I'm like, really? I'm like, did you have to go there? I'm like, you're just reminding me where I'm at right now. So
Frack
Thank you.
works.
Thank you,
Brian,
Brian. No, Brian Gilmore said he liked my icon. Thank you.
mm-mm.
But speaking of, sorry, go ahead, Leia.
No, I was going to say that icon was created because in college I did a little voiceover work. So
Oh, really?
they
Is there anything that you
yes,
haven't done yet, Leia?
I've done.
First, you was a model. Then you say now you did voice work. You went on Weight Watchers. You've been a thick model. You're also an extra at some point or an actress at some.
Mhm.
Dang girl, you
Oh
escaped Hollywood's grasp. You got lucky.
Maybe so. Maybe so. Maybe that's a good thing. And at
That's
first
right.
I thought, oh shucks, but you know what? And now that I think about it, maybe that was a good thing. But I still keep quite busy in the arts. I love the arts, and so before we were shut down because of the spell we're going through, I still do this quite a few things that I still do now. I still do a little voice work in my hometown every now and
Oh, nice.
Back
Back in the 90s, I dodged a bullet.
in the days amazing.
Anyways, so
I got nothing.
go ahead,
I
Schooner.
love it. I love
I
it.
just basically said no. I just said I got nothing.
oh, it'll come. It's okay, Scooney. It'll come to you at some point.
I'll have to pop in some of that 90s R&B now. So
Don't
right.
go chasing water. One of these days we're going to do a little sing
I
along.
don't know. Like I liked TLC, but that was like one of my that was a very mixed album because
Mm-hmm.
now that we're talking about prequels, I mean, that was kind of like, you got the first album, and it's like you got this girl band, and they're all tight and stuff. And by the time we get to fan mail, you start seeing like the cracks. Like you got Lisa Lopez like submitting work that's getting rejected. She's getting less mic time, and it's like, you get to the point where she's like, let's all, produce an album and see who has the most sales. And the other two can't, freaking write their own stuff. I mean, they were always better together. I mean, that was the whole point, right? So
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So I mean, it went from I ain't too proud to beg to trying to think. I'm pretty, yeah. I was like,
you can buy hair that won't grow.
Right.
Bruh, as much as I like that song, I can barely even make out the words. Some things would just bleed in my head, just be unintelligible when I was a kid. And the only thing of course, when we're young, the only thing we heard was the chorus. We didn't really pay that much attention to the we didn't really pay that much attention to the lyrics until we get older, right?
Right, and then you got parents that are freaking out when you're like, I ain't too proud to beg.
So when it came to TLC, it's like, yeah, damn, I'm pretty. Excuse me.
Right. What are you watching?
Like,
nothing. So,
or like Missy Elliott, it's my window.
Oh my, right?
I can't stand the rain. It's my window. Okay, I do remember this one. Beep beep. Who got the keys to my Jeep? Vroom. I'm driving to the beach. I'm like, okay, you're driving to the beach. I don't know what was it. What? Oh, right. We're back to the rain. Okay, it did have something to do with the rain. Yeah, I know. You probably walking somewhere and all of a sudden start raining. I can relate to that, Miss. I can relate to that. Don't even get me started on Busta Rhymes. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, no. It's like,
don't get me wrong. Big fan of Busta Rhymes, but I can freely admit the man can barely make sense of what he's saying.
Gosh, I think my favorite Missy track at that point was She's a Bee. And that came out on her The Real World
what
album.
You mean
by,
she's a what?
Yeah, to the cat like a semi.
I love when she does that. Oh, remember when she tried to sing in Beat Me 911?
Oh, well, she was always a rapper, but there's nothing wrong with quote extending your talent. I'm like, girl, just stick to rhyming.
Hey, who remember Saga to Me, the music video?
Oh gosh. Bits and pieces, because I mean, like, her career took off, but it became almost like Nicki's, where suddenly she was a guest star on everybody else's album. And it's like,
at this point,
yeah, at that point, and it's like, okay, when are you gonna put out more stuff? And it's like,
no, well, the reason why I bring up Sakatomi, because secretly I think she was a Mega Man fan.
You think so?
Because when you look at that music video, she's Mega Man.
Yeah.
I think Lil Kim was supposed to be Proto Man, and the Brat was Bass.
Did
or at least,
did the Mega Man franchise ever have like a prequel type game? Or did they just keep going from 1, 2, 3, and then consecutively?
You can almost say that some of the sequels were kind of prequels.
Yep.
Pseudo prequels. Some Japanese games they did have sequels that were like literally pseudo prequels, like Castlevania and Metroid.
Yep.
So yeah.
I also noticed what's really cool is that sometimes their stuff is not like non-canon or alternate reality. Like Gundam is basically all alternate reality of the original.
Really? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really watch Gundam, but I was going to like the geek, I would call it the geek store, because you can't call it a comic store, you can't call it a hobby store. I mean, now it's you just go to like
Link that has many stories. No, not a large building.
Well, and it was one of these things where my brother and I, we were actually collecting like figures, like Gundam figures, to like literally put together. Like they would like you would pay a ridiculous amount of money. I mean, my brother and I would pool our money. We'd buy one little figure, and then we would slowly put it together, and we wouldn't do it in one night because, I mean, we just spent all this money on getting a figure, and we would just put it together like a piece here. All right, you do that arm, I'll do that arm. And then eventually, you know, we still have those figures from back in the day. But yeah, we never really got into like watching this stuff as much as building the figures. And it was really cool because, I mean, you had a whole bunch of like I want to say kanji, but on the box and stuff. And it was pretty cool having a product that you don't understand, but you figure out the instructions to put the figure together. That was like the coolest part. We were like, oh yeah, man, we're smart. No, it's common sense. But I mean, you're a kid, so.
Yeah. Well, I lost my train of thought.
You?
I was gonna say-
Nah, never.
No, we were talking about Mega Man, Metroid.
Yeah, I think Gundam.
Castlevania, Gundam.
Yeah.
Led, you wanted to talk about the prequels, right? The Star Wars prequels.
Yeah, what do you got in mind?
Well, I the Star Wars prequels and also the Hobbit films, which is the Lord of the Rings prequels. And I was going to say about the Star Wars prequels that I didn't loathe them the way most of America did. I can see the issues. Yeah, right. And compared to the garbage we're getting now, they're like Shakespeare. But I really didn't loathe them. Now I will be honest. The first prequel title I forgot, which was no. What was the title of the first prequel?
The Phantom Menace.
The Phantom Menace.
Menace. Okay, the Phantom Menace. Okay, I didn't care much for young Anakin, little child Anakin,
Baby Anakin.
Yeah,
Jake
baby
Lloyd
Anakin. Yeah, Jake Lloyd Anakin. I gotta be honest. I didn't care for that, but all in all, the movie wasn't as bad as everybody was making it out to be. I mean, people were like, I did like the saber fight between Qui-Gon and
Qui-Gon.
Obi-Wan. Yeah, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul was fantastic. I loved that. I thought that was really good. But overall wise, I didn't think the story was that bad because I knew going into this, George Lucas was giving us a different time period than when we came into with A New Hope. So I was open to that. So I didn't find it disappointing at all because I knew that he's telling us from a different time, an early period before the Empire rose. So to me, was it as spectacular as the original Star Wars? No, but it wasn't that bad. I was following along with it. I said, okay, this is pretty decent. I didn't loathe it to death the way most of the country in the world did when it came out. Now, the second one that came out, which was
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones. Thank you. I'm going blind here. I didn't think that was bad either, and I actually liked. I am just going. My brain is not there today. I actually liked the actor that plays Anakin. Hayden Christensen. I actually liked. I thought it was unfair some of the criticism he got because I thought he did a pretty good job giving us the idea of what Anakin was like when he was young and following his journey. I didn't have a problem with that at all. Yeah, some of the romantic lines were cheesy, but you know what? I didn't come for that. I just came to see what his journey was going to be. And let me tell you something.
One's fault. He's jealous of my power. You underestimate my power.
Yes, and I wasn't a big Natalie Portman fan. I felt that maybe George should find another actress.
Deeply love you.
Are you an angel? No, I'm your future wife.
No, yeah.
Dude, that's just basically saying how bad did it hurt? How bad did what hurt when you fell out of heaven? Hallelujah. Oh my god. You guys gotta watch Joanna, man.
Are you an angel? No, I'm Luke Skywalker's mama.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Continue what you're saying, Leia.
It's funny. I liked Hayden. I didn't care that much for Natalie Portman. I felt like Natalie just didn't belong in those films. I don't know why, because I'm thinking, okay, this is Princess Leia's mother, really, really. You got to be kidding me. Carrie Fisher still outacts her in the first one. It just seems like Carrie Fisher was more into a Leia role. Natalie Portman was walking through that thing, so it was kind of cringy to kind of put up with her, because I just didn't get into it at all. I just felt like she gave a passionate, not a passionate, passionless performance, and just walked through the thing. I don't know. But I was okay with the journey. And then when we got to the Sith, Revenge of the Sith, I didn't think that was bad either. A lot of people think it's the better of the three. And it is, because I think that Lucas could have just did that film and picked up the prequels from there. But overall, I didn't feel they were as awful as everybody was making them out at the time, because I knew Lucas was telling a different time period. I mean, we could have done without that no at the end, yeah.
Oh,
We could have done without
before you
that.
continue, Leia, let me give you my rendition of it.
But I love
Oh
Of how.
no!
it's
Oh
so
no!
campy.
No, I'm saying like I
I
want to get my I'm gonna get my rendition of how I would have handled that scene.
Uh-oh.
okay. Oh
Uh-oh.
goodness. Oh, goodness.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah. Oh, y'all funny. Y'all think I'm gonna do something more comedy?
Yeah, I can just see like a quartet of furries coming out and doing the Lady Marmalade song, while that was
So we'll still keep the lines in your anger. You killed her. No, I felt her. She was alive.
mm-hmm.
He steps out. He does the whole walk thing. Snap, snap, snap. Crush, crush, crush with the force, right?
Yeah.
But
Smash.
but instead of no, it's a very unintelligible, what's that word? Very
Inaudible.
staticky but instead it sounds just like Grievous's how he got shot the first time by Obi-Wan. It makes that
yeah,
sound.
Yes. Yeah.
It'll be just like that sound, but it's but you're hearing it distorted. That's why I was like a distorted like it's like it's actually fixing itself to try to adjust for the sound, because it's a voice box, right?
Right.
So I'll make that scene disturbing. Like
Okay.
That would be
you'll
pretty
Okay.
interesting.
That is. That
like
would be.
like Frankenstein disturbing. That's the thing. It's supposed to be George Lucas homaging Frankenstein, right?
Yeah.
So why not make that scene disturbing?
He's
Instead,
alive. He's alive.
instead of just trying to be poetic or dramatic, like no. I would think or at least I would you could still edit that by giving it a story. Something like that. It would sound more disturbing, less funny. Because even I cracked up.
Yeah.
Even I cracked up laughing when I heard that. I was like, there was a big buildup of that moment, right?
Right.
You got the chorus playing. You got the music playing, and you hear no. Yeah, I get I get how you feel about that scene. Everybody feel that scene like that scene could have been reshot and rehearsed again. Come on, George. Come on, George.
Well, I think, and we're all in consensus now. I mean, because 2020, hindsight is 2020. A lot of the stuff that came out of that production was there weren't a lot of people pushing back on George.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. Yes.
And that's kind of what led us there. But
Maddie.
I mean, I guess the best way to put that is, when you've got multiple storylines going on and on and on, you need at least one person to be like, so that's your Queen Amidala? okay, well, what do you mean, okay? And then you go into this whole thing. Something that Leia had brought up about Natalie Portman. I think what really ended up happening was the bar was too high, and I don't think that I mean, all these scripts were supposedly pre-written, but I think the bar was already set too high for who we expected to be Luke's mother. Like at this point, she's like this ethereal, like maternal figure. So
Leia, what do you remember your mother was like?
Yeah, he says you're
yeah,
real
you know what I
mother.
mean? Yeah, exactly. Like
That was like
I
the
mean,
biggest question that they asked in Return of the Jedi, and that's something that sparked curiosity in anybody's mind.
and I think everyone was looking to have their have the question to the question answered to the person they were already envisioning as being the mother of like the most prolific figure in storytelling,
The
in
wife
modern.
of the mass murdering genocidal maniac.
Because I mean, it's technically it's a gnarled tree. So, but like most things, they don't start out being gnarled. So,
but the idea of Padme is actually pretty good, and I actually think this is where the prequels like Clone Wars and even Gennady Tarkovsky's animated Clone Wars really got Padme down.
Yeah, and that was the thing.
So they corrected the mistake.
They shouldn't have to.
Well, no. Here's the thing, and I know what Schooner is asserting. He's asserting to the fact that this is one of the few instances where another show, more or less, justifies the prequels or justifies the prequel narrative.
Exactly. Or like enhanced on how we are seeing Padme Amidala. Padme Amidala is a humanitarian in a universe that seems to want to get one over on everybody.
Yeah.
She's like that one scene in the Clone Wars TV series when they were talking about a bill that was going to start cutting funding for refugees and people who really need the funding. And the threat of the war is getting ever present. And Padme Amidala just tells everybody, she levels with everybody about how desperate the refugees from all of these war-torn planets need the funding because, and she just levels with them. She pours her heart and soul out there. And what's interesting is that even Palpatine, the bad guy, says they all agree. They say, you know what, let's spend the money for the refugees, not for the war effort. And even Palpatine admires her. He says, isn't it interesting how one person can just sway an entire belief system just with their words?
Yeah, and
I agree.
One of the opinions that we get from a lot of these people who aren't willing to touch the P word, and I'm talking about politics, is that was prevalent throughout the original trilogy and even the prequels. Like the politics of the galaxy was literally the backdrop for what created Luke Skywalker. And you almost had that inherently removed from the sequel tragedy, if you will. I mean, staying away from all that, I mean, and just sticking to the prequel storytelling. That's been the one thing that has literally shaped the rest of the story. I mean, it uses that to bounce off. And, going back.
I agree. Just building up what you're saying, Trooper. If you watch the original cut of Star Wars A New Hope, there's a cut scene. You guys remember, there's an infamous cut scene where Luke is talking to Biggs on Tatooine. And Biggs is talking about international trade disputes and all this kind of stuff. And they basically cut all that stuff out. And the only time we ever really mention the Senate and stuff like that is on board the Death Star when Tarkin's little monologue about that remnant of the old Republic. That's pretty much all we get in the Coruscant and all the other cities.
Well,
he says the Imperial Senate will no longer have any say in the matter. I've just received word that the Emperor has dissolved the Senate.
Yeah, and to go back to Leia's point about Queen Amidala, one thing that the production actually nailed with Queen Amidala were the costumes. There was a lot of time and effort, and if you look at the conceptual art regarding Queen Amidala, it really reminded me of Firefly in the sense, not going too much into, not going back.
Yes.
Well, not to touch too much on the P word. I like saying P word.
Is that your safe word?
No, that's no square. So going back to the P word, something Firefly did was this intermingling of cultures, of Eastern and Western culture, and that's sort of what the Lucas production did with Queen Amidala. Is you got a lot of Eastern influence in her costumes. There was some Western influence in the terms of the hair braiding and stuff like that, but I mean, to kind of give a backdrop to that, I mean, we were getting a new planet in this prequel, which was Naboo. So it was more or less having to create a whole new culture behind, the story of Luke Skywalker, because he's from Tatooine at this point. We don't know anything else. And now we're starting to find out that, his mother is a humanitarian from, I would call it a fringe planet within the Galactic Senate.
I'd say a pretty influential planet. A very
that could be argued, because I mean that's how she rose to power.
Push pause, guys.
Yep.
Melissa Harris is talking about buffering. Are we really buffering?
No.
Anybody?
No, we're good.
Not for me. No.
I'm talking about the chat. Anybody in
the chat?
Yeah. Well, anybody in the chat, can you let us know if we're clear? Continue, guys.
Yeah, we should be fine.
Yeah, continue.
Trooper, you were talking about. It's a very influential planet. I mean, it's not Alderaan, but still.
Yeah, and so we get to attack the clones. So we already have Naboo. So we're starting to see different planets also now. Once we get to episode 2, we see more of the interaction, from the perspective of Queen Amidala, who is now also Senator Amidala, because, we have to keep moving the story towards episode 4, which, to me, it's Star Wars. For a lot of people, it's A New Hope. But what we're starting to see is more of the backdrop and the interplay between Anakin and Padme. And I heard this said before, as far as, the Padme character, trying to push back on her feminine role by, being with a younger male. I mean, that could be seen as controversial.
Now.
But yeah, it's still controversial. I mean, from a male perspective, if you're a young guy and you get with a
December romance, as we call it,
then suddenly, oh yeah, you're virile. It's
or like cradle robbing. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I'm like, you can't cradle rob the willing. You really can't.
Oh my god! I really wish that George did not make them look at each other at the end of Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Where he look, Jake Lloyd does this little cock smile at her, like any adult male would do, and then she's got that freaking goofy ass teasing smile, like oh yeah, I'm knowing.
Oh no.
I didn't see it that way. I'm
surprised you didn't, because I saw it when I was 13.
No, I literally saw, a friendship growing out of adversity is what I saw in that end credit scene. But that end credit or that end scene really is like the fanfare of it all, the celebration, the fanfare on Naboo. That's what really I remember most.
But you know what?
Fun fact.
Double meaning could be she's congratulating him on being a Padawan.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Schooner.
Well, what was interesting about the fanfare at the end of Star Wars: The Phantom Menace is that music that's playing, it's actually the Emperor's theme sped up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But that's
Um,
but that's another thing that we're seeing in the scene too is that Padme is seeing Anakin. She's seen the boy who has triumphed through adversity and has indirectly saved her entire planet, going
Oh
on now to
yeah,
be a Jedi
by,
who
by by by
really.
parading his ship into a space combat on our pilot,
mhm.
and happened to crash land in the ship's weak spot.
hmm But the thing is
Which
that
I
but
don't
she sees
look.
great things are
I'm
going
gonna
to
say
come from
this. I'm gonna say
you.
this for the Raylo defenders. Shut the fuck up about Anakin's accidental triumph.
Oh
hmm
Lord.
That is
Oh.
that is brilliant storytelling. Accidental triumph. God damn it.
Don't give
Uh
don't
Exactly.
oh.
don't give
Uh
those
oh.
weirdos oxygen. It's
I'm
like
sorry, Ma Pacelli. I used the GD. They slipped.
Well, that's another thing too. I mean,
Strike one on my part.
the very fact of the matter is too is that they want to say that Anakin Skywalker is just like Rey. He's a Gary Stew, and I'm just like, okay, first
No.
off, that was a happy accident that led to the destruction of the ship. I mean, for crying out loud, he's firing at the droids, and then he fires the torpedoes without even realizing he fired the torpedoes.
Or at least he,
And
he
then
didn't
he just
realize that he hit the weak spot.
exactly. And the very fact that he's able to outmaneuver outside of the ship on such a low altitude is a callback to the pod race. Because he said, this is pod racing.
That and, of course, George wanted to homage his own freaking movie. Fire the two proton torpedoes
you
into
know
the
what I
exhaust
want to
port.
see. You know what I want to see.
I agree. That was what he was doing was that he wasn't so much retelling, but he was saying that these trilogies are meant to not juxtapose, but be
Rhyme.
homages. Yeah, exactly. Rhyme.
Mhm.
And that's
It's like
actually, in my
poetry. It
opinion,
just
that's a
rhymes.
great rhyme.
I would have, truth be told, I would have had Anakin fire them anyways, like out in outer space. Much in the same vein as Luke. Not really the force like encouraging him to fire, or at least stressing the force. It's more of it's what Qui-Gon was speaking about Anakin's abilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish they would George would have referenced what Qui-Gon was saying, whereas there was a weak spot in the droid control ship that he was seeing, and he picks up on that. Like, say for instance, if all the ships are doing is just shooting at the body of the ship, right, and it's ray shielded, except
Mm-hmm.
for exhaust port that's not shielded. That would include Anakin in, like, hey, maybe we should probably fire somewhere there, and he fires, and of course the torpedoes go in the exact same way the torpedoes go, like in A New Hope, and that's where he takes it out. Like this little boy saw, like, he observed the battlefield, if you will.
That would be interesting because Qui-Gon Jinn said what's interesting because he does say that he says he can see things before they happen, the way he's moving and the way he has a unique speculation of things. That would be interesting. I mean, he could even say, "Hey, R2, can you get me the schematics of this place? Tell me what you think about all." I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like, that's another thing. He had R2 as his astromech, and they don't do much with him except bypass an autopilot. That's about it. It's like all they did was just flying. Like I'm not saying that George's work is bad. It's like, it's not, and we all know, like, we like to clown around and say he had a lot of yes man around. It's like, I made this a point in Matthew Flynn's stream with Troy about the yes man thing. I was like, no, I would, I think it's kind of unfair to call them all yes men. I think it's called people who were ecstatic to work with the George Lucas, to really
They
question him on it. Like to really have a they saw who they're working for, and to say, hey, he knows his stuff. Like Like I'm just along for the ride. I'm here with George. Nobody's. It's not like we were expecting people to challenge him.
Yeah.
No, he
Can I
like
also say something though? It's important to note that every single person who was either directly involved in, who was in the movie and outside the movie, went on to some very promising careers, with the exception of
Mhm.
Jake Lloyd. But he had his own problems.
Right.
They all went on to success later in life, but Jake Lloyd had his own problems, and he says, "I want to blame Star Wars," but he had his own problems.
Man, that
No,
poor
But
boy.
everybody went on to some very promising careers.
yes, that's true.
And there were people who are already on promising careers,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the
like
reason for that,
Samuel,
yeah.
Liam.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Ewan
And
is
can we just,
Ewan was one of the promising career types.
yeah. I mean, even Hayden Christensen, he went on to do more independent movies, and I've seen independent movies he's in, and he's not bad.
Nope.
Right.
He's
I
not.
like I like him in Awake.
Yeah. I even liked him in. I think it was that Season of the Witch movie where he was. Yes, he was with Nicolas Cage.
That was him.
Yeah.
I'm about to look at that again. I've seen that movie twice, and I didn't even realize Hayden Christian was in it.
Well,
Yeah.
I think people are just now realizing Hayden should have got more respect than he did. I think that fans have always loved him. I know at some cons
Capacity.
and
Yeah.
some cons and some Star Wars virgins. One, I forgot what it was. I don't know if it was for May the 4th or whatever. He came out, got a standing ovation from the crowd. So they
Oh,
always that he was he deserved the attention. I always liked him. I always liked him. I always felt that he did a good job with the material that he had. And people are just now realizing. I always say to people, if 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 Revenge of the Sith came out now, Anakin Hayden would be a star because everybody's into the anti-hero. And
Mm-hmm.
Anakin was your first anti-hero because in Attack of the Clones and Sith, there were many scenes where I sided with Anakin, that I felt why Anakin felt the way.
uh-oh.
Uh oh. I just to build off what Leia Plus Size was saying, exactly. I mean, that's how. See, everybody's like saying, well, well, when they're comparing Kennedy to Lucas, and they're like saying Kennedy did the exact same thing. Why is Kennedy getting all of this flack? It's because George, at the end of the day, is a competent storyteller. He knows what he wants and where the story is going. Because going into this prequel trilogy, we all knew exactly what was going to happen. At the
You having
end of
trouble
the
before you continue, Scott? You having any trouble on your end, Leia?
Oh, I'm here. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I'm just,
Yeah.
I want to make sure that you are definitely okay on your end because I know we a lot of people is having connection issues and weather issues recently.
Right.
I want to make sure you're doing fine too.
I'm doing fine. I'm doing okay. If I pop out again, it maybe the weather's not bad today, but things get a little wonky sometimes. But I'm okay so far. I've checked
Yeah.
everything. Right.
Let I'll get your thoughts on what you were saying earlier, but I'll let Schooner finish up what he's saying.
Yeah, sure, please. Go ahead. Go ahead,
it's
Scooty.
just basically we were all going in with the prequels knowing what the story was going to be. That was the difference between the Kennedy and Lucas era. By the end of this trilogy, we knew that Anakin Skywalker was going to don his helmet, don his Darth Vader helmet. So he decided that he was going to focus more on the aesthetics of the prequel universe.
Right. And
He was a competent storyteller.
you're talking about Lucas, right?
Yeah, that's the difference.
Okay.
Because I was saying, before you cut out, I was saying, what's the difference? Everyone's saying Kennedy hired herself a group of yes women, and George Lucas hired himself a group of yes men. So why is Kennedy getting all of this hate and Lucas not? And I'm like, because Lucas is a competent storyteller.
Oh, I
To
would
some
agree.
extent.
See, the thing, well, all storytellers have their faults and their ups and their downs. I'm not a big fan of Martin. I'm sorry. I know you all are Game of Thrones fans here, but I have a lot of
Right, right,
issues
right.
with. Forgive me, Commander. but I do have a lot of issues with
No, you
Martin
don't have
as
to
a man.
apologize. Just voice your dissent. Go ahead. You ain't heard me.
Okay.
You ain't hurting the fans. I don't speak for the fans, but f them if they want to come at you about speaking against Martin's work. But go ahead.
Yeah, some of them, yeah, some Game of Thrones fans just don't want me to say about Martin. I have some issues with his storytelling, which is why it was hard for me to follow with the show. But before I get to Martin, just get back to the point about Lucas. See, here's the thing I feel about Kennedy. Kennedy wishes she was George Lucas. She wanted to be George Lucas, but she doesn't have the talent to tell a story and create a world like George can.
Penis
Her
envy.
Yes, exactly. That's all this is with Kennedy. Now, was she a good producer? Yes, she produced a lot of good films, but she got in this twisted little delusional mind of hers that she could be like Lucas. But we're now seeing she has no talent for world building, character building, or creating stories or even marketing because she tried to market the toys and they're all sitting on the shelves at the Dollar Trees and Family Dollars in the neighborhood somewhere because nobody bought the merchandise. And that is because she did not know how to do it. What she should have did was surrounded herself with people who knew how to tell a story, but that's not what she did. She just surrounded herself with people who would tell her how awesome and inspiring and the great liberator that she's the
The one
savior.
who constantly is breaking the glass ceiling.
Yes, waking the grassling, stunning and brave, and it got into her delusional head, and now she's thinking she's as great as Lucas, but she's not. Even with Lucas, with all his faults, is never sunk as low as Kennedy has. So
Well,
that's where she's just pure delusional. I think really
yeah,
this is the story of
exactly.
a delusional. Kathleen Kennedy is a delusional woman, and you see it in the work. You can see it clearly. That's why everything Star Wars is a trash dumpster right now because of the delusional behavior that she has. But in her mind, she thinks, well, they're all just saying it about me because I'm a woman. They're instant phobes, and that's why I get the criticism I get. They don't see my
You
brilliance.
don't like it, or you
Yeah,
just don't like me.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah. And that's another thing. The final nail in the coffin for me with Kathleen Kennedy was that now she's getting her little white knights and soldiers to claim that she was actually the secret brain behind Star Wars the whole time.
Yes, that's
it's
the
the
That,
revisionist mindset.
yeah.
I call her
Um,
her flying monkeys. Her little groups are her professional little flying monkeys. I like to refer to that
let's talk
As
about
surround
much
her.
somebody. Let's talk
as
about
much as
somebody
I
who's
rip
also
on the
the sorry.
as much as I rip on the prequel trilogies, I will always say, long live the Lucas era of Star Wars.
Oh, absolutely. And one more thing, I just want to say with Trooper that I just want to add. Crystal Scooney, I think everybody right now really has more appreciation for. I'll take Lucas any day. But also, I do like the fact what Trooper said about Padme that she did have great costumes. I loved all her costumes, how she was dressed in the first one because she's supposed to be queen, right? And a queen is a diva, so she
My
has
mom
to
used to
be.
crack on her wardrobe change.
Yes.
All when she
Yeah.
first watched it, she's not really a big Star Wars fan, or at least she's
Hmm.
not like in deep like we are, cause parent. But
Right. Yeah.
that was one like she commented on how Phantom Menace was boring to her, which I could kind of see why she would feel that way. Which I didn't really see how boring it was until I started noticing the cracks a bit. Because I kept freaking skipping to the space battle at the end, near the end when they got to the whole politics thing when I was a
Hmm.
kid. But
Yeah.
where am I even going with this? No, the in short, what killed me about my mom was the fact that she cracked on Amidala's wardrobe changes. She's like, she got a new wardrobe. Oh, she got a new wardrobe. Well, what is this? New clothes every 5 minutes. That always killed me.
And another thing that I noticed out of everybody kind of what's sad and tragic about I mean, I know the wooden acting by Natalie Portman, but if you watch the story, it's kind of Padme Amidala who set the whole event in motion when I'm hearing noises. Am I having
that's
Is it a tumor?
No, my
that's Leia's phone.
I'm sorry, my
Okay.
phone. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Scooty. I'm sorry about that. I was getting a text.
Mama,
Sorry about
mama,
that.
mama, I'm gonna call you back later. Mama, okay, mama, I love you. Mom, yes, mom, I love you. I love you too,
Money
mama.
talks.
I'm call you back later. No, seriously, mom, I'm gonna call you back. For those who don't know, I'm making a Boondocks reference.
Mm. Thought it was money talk. That was my bad.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know what? You know what? That's another good reference too. Money talks. Mama. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought you were somebody else. Mama, I thought you were somebody else. I'm sorry.
Phone rings again. Who's this? I love that. Like,
That's
who's
funny.
this?
I'm sorry, Scooty. Go ahead and finish your point. I didn't mean to interrupt. You
But
were a good
the,
point.
the thing that I love so much is that she plays an active role in the story when she indirectly uh, leads events to where they are. I love that sequence in the Senate building where she's talking about how the Naboos have been blocked, the Naboos being blockaded, and the chancellor is suddenly interrupted, and I love the sequence with the emperor, how he's basically whispering in Padme's ear like a serpent and telling her that this is exactly what you got to do. You have got to make this push right now, and this is the all or nothing moment, basically. And I love the little tense scene when she says, "I move for a vote of no confidence," because
Yeah.
most people don't know. I mean, they overlook this fact, but that's basically what she did. She set the entire events in motion without realizing that she did.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, she is. I do agree, despite now, like you said, Natalie's stone acting, and I really wish she stopped doing it, and it peaked up
I do
again in
not
Thor.
condone an action that will lead us to war.
Yeah. And she brought it up again in Thor, but that's a whole nother story. She does set a lot of the events in motion that lead to what we get when we get to the Star Wars movies of Empire and Star Wars and Jedi. A lot of that is her setup. So I definitely do agree with that. So we see her power when she was queen and when she was in the Senate. I also want to bring out that I didn't have a problem in Attack of the Clones that she was the older woman that Anakin. I didn't find that. I thought that was okay. I was glad to see that it was different because I see it in movies all the time with men that are like in their 50s get these 20-year-olds, and I'm like, what about us as women? So I didn't mind that she was the older one is in that one, and that Anakin was madly in
I
love with
don't
her.
know. I
That
don't
didn't
know.
bother me. That didn't
I,
that didn't bother me.
I will say this. I will say this
What
to
you
be
say?
fair. I will say this to be fair too. I'm definitely gonna be fair on this. Both sides make me feel uncomfortable. So
Okay.
if that makes everybody well, I'm speaking from the truth though. I'm really speaking from the truth. Like if it's made a similar romance with adult male, young female, yeah, that don't feel right. Same thing with made a similar female to male, adult female to young male, that just don't sit well for me. Is what I'm saying. Um,
See, for me, it's a little different when they say, why is it okay for older men to date younger women, but it's not okay for older women to go out with younger men? I simply respond with, I don't make the rules, I just enjoy them.
that's my schooner.
that's
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 schooner.
that's Goonie for you. Well, it's according to how old.
He's
It's
a
how big
natural
is the gap.
fan man right now. Go ahead, Lapos. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, it's yeah, that's Goonie. It's according to how big the gap. There's some gaps that are like, no, she looks like his son. But then there's some gaps where some are okay. But I thought it was
Yeah,
different, so I was
The age
okay with it.
gap, yeah, exactly. The age gap isn't even that big. If I recall correctly, Anakin's 12 and she's 14.
Right.
right.
So yeah, so the age
That's
gap when
not much
they
of an age gap.
right.
Problem is Natalie Portman doesn't look all that convincing as a 14-year-old, unless you put her size next to Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, of course. But like when she's Amidala, she grows an inch taller. Didn't you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
guys notice how when she put on that wardrobe, she grows an inch taller.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then when she's Padme, she's like a dwarf.
So,
I'm like I kind of get what they were doing with that because
It's got to be the shoes.
that was a misdirect for you didn't realize that was the queen with them the whole
Mhm.
time. But I'm like it's like again I like how Leia plus size bring up Padme's Padme. Natalie Portman's acting like when she chastises Qui-Gon about your Jedi are so reckless. The queen respects my judgment. You assume too much. I'm like, little girl, go sit in the corner. Go, go sit in the corner. Go, you a handmaid, and that's an ambassador. Go sit in the corner. Like every time, I'm sorry. I made this comment in Silent Graver's stream yesterday. Unlike like nowadays, they want to write these little female girls shouting out to adults, and every time I look at that, I'm looking at a Chihuahua barking at a Doberman. I don't see no stunning and brave little girl stand up to an adult male. I'm seeing a Chihuahua barking at a Doberman, and you know how that's going to end if the like. It's funny that a lot of people think that little dogs are like the cutest things ever. Them things are vicious little buggers. I'm about to use the F word again. I caught myself there though. I'm learning, guys. I'm learning. I'm learning to be clean more. But I'm trying. Hey guys, I seek therapy. I suck some therapy. No, I'm kidding. No, but yeah, little dogs are way more ornery than big dogs. Big dogs are actually gentle. If you guys ever notice that, like we always like to think that the big dogs are vicious. No. So it's really little dogs. Little dogs, the ones that give you the problems.
I think they all have an inferiority complex.
Yeah, they're little little Napoleon. That's what I call it. Little Napoleon complex.
Yep.
Size complexes. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. That's why. Take my word for it, guys. Don't trust little dogs. I know y'all like to get them because they're you don't get to feed them as much as big dogs. But big dogs are the way to go because they're way more gentle. They'll protect you. Let's just say that. I'm not physically expecting no little dog to protect my big behind. What I do expect them to do is create a distraction because that's all they're good for. Just distract the big people and bop, got them. Thank you, little dog. Thank you. But big dog, sick them. And take my word for it. Don't trust dolphins.
Oh,
Never trust dolphins.
No. I've heard very, very, very scary stories.
Yeah.
Especially,
bruh. Simpsons was not BS when they did that freaking dolphin episode in Treehouse of Horror.
Yeah.
It was a Treehouse of Horror.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was a Treehouse of Horror episode. Yeah.
Yeah, bruh. When I saw that, I was like, "Yep, I'm not trusting dolphins ever again. I don't care if you show me Flipper."
It kind of reminds me of King of the Hill. Remember when Hank got
that even reinforces my fear. That reinforced my fear.
Hank got assaulted by the dolphin.
Oh boy! But we derailed this conversation. Let's any final words y'all want to say? Anything about the prequels before we move to talk about the Hobbit?
Well, it's kind of ironic. Oh, go ahead, Leia. Plus size. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say one thing about some of her costumes in Attack of the Clones. I liked that they were feminine next to Anakin. Again, I like that showing of the strong, the beautiful feminine next to the strong, muscular masculine.
We lost her again.
But it's true what she's saying. I mean, Padme was not some damsel. She was willing to fight along with. Yeah, she could. Yeah, and not butch. She could fight along with the boys. I mean, I even love the scene where Padme and Anakin are fighting side by side in the arena.
Yeah, where he's like riding on a freaking steed, and she's on the freaking chariot, just blasting people on the side and stuff. Yeah. That was pretty nifty. Go ahead, Leia plus size.
Sorry about that, guys. I think it's my cord or something. It starts to. I'll look at it later. I was really finishing up, though. I was just going to say that, yeah, I liked that in that one, some of her outfits were very feminine, and I was okay with that next to Anakin's masculinity as a Jedi. So, and then in Revenge of the Sith, I know they changed because she's pregnant now. But
Mhm.
I liked the costumes, like again showing the feminine and the masculine because they aren't doing that now, especially when you Geo the Rock and whatever the heck them non-binary twin crap. I don't know what that is. Bald
Yeah,
headed people don't have hair crap they got going on. I really could appreciate that, and I like that because I do believe in that. I'm not swayed by what the crazy cancel culture is doing. I think there's beauty in the feminine, and I think there's the masculinity and beauty in the male masculinity, and I like that they had that in the film.
I agree
Uh,
on. Yeah.
yeah, in that, and even in the third one when she is pregnant, they don't hide. Her wardrobe is different, but it's still feminine with that.
She got
So
that pop belly.
yeah,
Mhm.
but
Got that. She got that pop belly.
well, she's carrying twins, so
Mhm.
Nah, I'm like the moment she walk in, you didn't notice that pop belly, Anakin. Like it was dead out there, like dead out there. You know, bruh, the war must have really taken a toll on your behind because you ain't noticing anything about your what, woman, did you get fat? Oh wait, oh, 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 oh,
Oh,
oh.
Mm.
he's now sleeping on the couch. So you
Yes,
made
No,
that.
yes, definitely, yes. After that, and then there's one scene after they come back in the beginning of the picture and they rescued the
Chancellor.
chancellor, and he
Yeah.
goes up to her and she tells her he's pregnant. I forgot his line. I thought he said something like, I don't know if he
You're
said, "How did
shaking.
this happen?" or yeah, like
Well,
when
he
she
goes.
tells him,
That's what I loved. That's actually, see, this is where I actually thought Hayden Christensen did an amazing job, because she tells him she's pregnant, and then you just see this look of excitement, fear, confusion, and then he just goes, "That's wonderful."
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
And
right.
she says, That's where his acting improved.
Let's
Yeah.
also not forget the
I
scene
was
where,
about to,
where he's staring out the window, and he kind of like connect. It's showing that he kind of has a connection to Padme, and
Mhm.
he knows that she's watching him too, and he's watching her.
yeah,
Remember
I
that
like
scene?
that scene. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that scene. Yeah, I did.
exactly.
Yeah,
And get
I did.
yeah. So the prequel trilogy, for all of its faults, is, I guess you could say, a good example of how you can get things right and sometimes how you can get things wrong.
Now,
Correct.
one thing I wanted to point out before we move on to the Hobbit is my criteria, what makes a good prequel and what makes a bad prequel, and what can offset a few things versus going into what is now essentially a sequel to the prequel. Um, the world building, I gotta give Lucas on the world building aspect in the prequels, especially when it comes to technology. Like you guys mentioned, the technology, the wardrobe. I like to liken the prequel trilogy as the Victorian era of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Like the knights, the Jedi are the knights,
Yeah.
which what I mean by Arthurian
Yeah,
style storytelling. I think that's where he was going for too.
yeah,
Shakespearean and Arthurian, which is you got in a way you have uh Padme as Guinevere. You
Mm-hmm.
have remove the infidelity a bit. You have Obi-Wan as Lancelot.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
Um,
yeah.
who is the most pious? I would say Mace Windu could be Galahad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
Um, I guess we can say Ventress is Morgana,
And Yoda is Merlin, I guess.
of course.
Yeah.
I'd actually
Uh,
say that Morgana could actually technically be Palpatine.
that
Yeah,
too, or
yeah.
yeah, yep. In a way, in a twisted way, yeah.
hmm
Um, of course. I think that would be a good way to balance it out. of course, we do have the council in a round table in the council room, which was a nice touch to that. You could almost actually. I would have called Anakin Arthur, but I think he's more of an Uther.
Uther Pendragon.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Okay.
think he's more of
the one who would give birth to Arthur, the king of the Brit.
Yeah. So
Because Luke Skywalker is the Arthur, I think.
yeah.
He's the Arthur of the story. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
he does have his father's sword.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, not. Yeah, he does get his father's sword, but then he, of course, gets Excalibur, which would later become his green lightsaber.
Right.
Exactly. Yes.
So yeah.
But Wolf, let me say when you brought that up. But then now you can see everybody who's a Lucas fans know that Lucas was following the pattern of the hero's journey in that Joseph Campbell book. Or that book, but he's following that. So when you pick that apart, Wolf, you're now seeing what Lucas was influenced by. Just by you mentioning that, just by you be able to pick apart the Arthurian legends, you can see that in Lucas's storytelling. And Lucas himself said when he got to Luke Skywalker, he wanted Luke Skywalker to have the hero's journey, much the way Joseph Campbell did. And the Arthurian legend is the hero's journey in a way, because all those tropes are there. The princess, the wise old man, the wizard, sort of, the other characters, and then we see them in Star Wars down the line. So that's what you just did right there. You can see that, and that's the secret ingredient that people don't get about Lucas, and what Kathleen Kennedy doesn't get. She just sees, lightsabers and just throw away out there to do everything. It doesn't matter. She does everything. She's strong and powerful. You can't do that. That won't stick. You have to have that hero's journey. Rey doesn't have a hero's journey. There's no hero journeys with Rey whatsoever. But Lucas got that, and that's his secret power. You can say whatever you want about Lucas, sure, but he understood the hero's journey, and that's what's missing from Star Wars now, and missing from a lot of movies today, and what Kathleen Kennedy doesn't get. She doesn't have that.
Oh, she gets it. She gets it. It's just, again, they're pushing something completely different. These people aren't oblivious to anything like that. I mean, people say, oh, she's been around and she knows where everything is buried. Yeah, because you figure these types of people were also involved in that stuff. So, I think it's gotten to the point where we all know it's definitely about agenda, and we all know it has something to do with targeting a younger demographic, because the younger demographic is more receptive to
just like they want to touch children, Trooper.
No, what they want to do is they want to get away from freaking writing costs. Why hire a $100 an hour writer when you can hire one for $25?
You mentioned that, and I think about what RJ said in his recent video.
That was another thing too. I mean, everything about what we've been hearing is true, because remember, you have to take it all with a grain of salt, because you can't believe every rumor. But they already had the path laid before them with Lucas's draft.
Oh yeah, well, they
didn't want to do that.
Yeah, no, they already had a plan in mind, and it was not where. And this is kind of what I wanted to see. Like, the Russo brothers are basically suing to get the rights to Predator from Disney, pretty much halting that Alien production. So,
whoa, that's new.
It's been around for a little bit.
Did you guys ever see 21 Bridges?
No, I did not.
I know of it.
Boseman and the Russo brothers. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, it's a break from it's no Captain America, but it is a good movie. So they are competent filmmakers.
Yes, I'll give you that. Yeah, they are.
Now that you bring that up, Trooper, this is one thing I want to point out. Definitely, especially it was a topic that me and a coworker of mine had brought up years ago.
Right.
Years ago, right before Endgame even came about. I was telling him there's a reason why I'm giving these guys the benefit of the doubt, and I'm willing to say it to even the professor and everybody else about the Russos. I don't think that they were in cahoots with the Marvel MCU directive. I don't think they really are. They just go. They're what Troy like to say. Ones that keep their heads down, keep doing their jobs. I think they really do care about the stories that they write, but they have to get by writing mediocre stuff. Like that's like I don't. Truth be told, I don't think the A Force moment was all theirs. I think that was
I
somebody
don't think
else's
so
idea.
either.
Well,
I don't
here's
think
the
so
thing.
either.
Here's
Yeah,
the thing.
I don't think so
And
either.
I know I'm saying this like I'm trying to absolve them for any responsibility. Of course
Oh
they
no, absolutely
of course
not.
of course they directed the scene, so they're still firmly responsible. But like deep down, I'd like to think that they do want to keep doing their own stuff and try to write their own stuff. And I'm pretty sure if they were doing Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I'm going to say respectfully this time because I'm imagining what I'm doing is I'm imagining in the universe that the Russos are writing Falcon and the Winter Soldier as it should be written. If they want to go with well, of course, if it's the Russos, it's going to be Bucky that's holding the shield. Let's not beat around the bush. We all know that they would give Bucky the shield.
Well,
Yes, yes.
that's a lot of exposition to drive a point. I mean, when it really comes
Yeah.
down to is, you know,
Can I
and
go to
it's
the parallel universe where the Russos are writing Cap?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. If I have to deal if I have to deal with these pink hairs, you have to as well. And I hate the fact that I have to share an entire 50 states with half of the
Oh, come
population.
on, Trooper! Don't
That
don't lay on
that
the
does
nerds
not
of
that
the
does not
separation
get
anxiety.
that does not get that taking a shower or being on time and being
Oh
responsible
my
and
goodness!
math,
Oh, here we go.
are not exclusive to one particular ethnic type. So anyway,
Hippie authoritarian lines.
right. No, you got to figure it's it's kind of
I
like
hear
Clive. It's kind of like
these special
Clive
rules that they
Barker.
keep in indoctrinating our kids.
It's kind of like Clive Barker and Hellraiser. Like the dude has, vehemently said that he does not like his own creation. That's fine, and he did sue and he did get the rights back to his property. But I'm assuming it's because he wants to sit on it. He'd rather make the money on it that he wants to make on it, and we already know he doesn't like it. But at the same time, it's like anytime they do any changes to it, it's always going to be associated with him. And that's kind of where I see this going with the Russo brothers and Predator. It's whatever they do to it is going to be associated with them, and then that more or less diminishes whatever projects they do, even if they're not involved. It's the fact that they're connected to it.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because I know where it's
I
going.
want to do it. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it my way.
Well, yeah,
On my own terms.
I mean, we already know. We already know these, and I'm going to call them morons. We already know these morons want to put out a she predator. We already know that.
Yeah.
We've only
Now before you guys continue, let me point this out. There are female predators in the Predator universe. Let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah,
we do have concept art, and I'm pretty sure they popped up in a few comics here and there. There are female predators in the Predator universe. So this is not us saying we don't want female predators in a Predator movie. No, we want a realized female predator.
Precisely.
That is what we're asking. We want a realized female Ja displayed on Predator. Not no female side buzz predator.
Well,
because you know somehow they're gonna make that work with their
they're gonna turn it into a bee colony where really there's no predator king. It's a matriarch. It's a matriarchal she predator who's the queen, and that's all her drones, and all their drones
they
are trying to justify
it to a matriarchy when it really is.
They're trying to justify their masculinity so that they can get their.
They're going to be doing the whole promo where it's all stunning and brave, and we were the first to ever do this. And then actually, if you look back at this comic book, you technically shut up, man hater.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of these things where all these dudes are trying to prove themselves to this, she predator so they can get their 2 minutes of.
They're gonna ruin
their 2 minutes. Yeah, they're
They're
so
gonna
they,
they're gonna ruin Machiko.
yeah.
Machiko, the female human that was raised by a predator tribe
Well,
well,
it's
not
gonna be
necessarily raised, but taught in the ways of the Yokja tribe in the Bad Blood story arc.
it's gonna be one of these things where like all these dudes are fighting for their 2 minutes to be with this praying mantis who basically devours them after the sexual act. Like we already know where this is going. I mean, I'm like, so in that case, I would say like, yeah, you know what, get the rights back to Predator, and better yet, I don't want to see any other Predator films for a very long time until we all get past this age of 2015 comics, because that's where we're at. I mean, these people don't create; they literally just emulate from the comic book realm. So
They
while
do
everyone
that.
is freaking
They do
out,
that because they don't want to have to pay royalties.
exactly,
You
exactly.
you cheap bastards.
That's really what it is. That's why we're
That's
going.
Alien Fury coming from Schooner, guys.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's where we're going. I mean, freaking MCU wasn't like something that was like out of nowhere. And I hate using that term because I mean it always goes back to Gary from
Didn't
the
become
other
the MCU until after Infinity War.
yeah, like the thing is like A Force was already happening in Secret Wars. Like I said, I did not like where it went. I thought it was a great opportunity to show some really cool storytelling with some, overly feminized females and, beautiful art and, skin tight
Which we
suits and
all
stuff.
truly want, no matter what the feminists say. We all want that.
Well, it's because a lot
Men,
of these
women, and these groups all want that too, no matter what is said
That's
after.
that's
well,
something I gleamed at when Ishii had brought in
yeah,
our a guest to talk about his upcoming book, which I'm not gonna bring up because that's personal,
right.
of course.
Mhm.
One of the, he's bringing in female friends to really talk about the female perspective
The female
of comic. Yeah, well, the female perspective of how they view society and how women are kind of quote unquote screwing up society in a way.
I wouldn't go that far, but I wouldn't say it wouldn't be too far a stretch. Because
But
after
yeah,
all,
check. I've
humanity has been messing each other up for years.
Of course in
Mhm.
multiple ways that we know of, but Eloise knows what I'm talking about. Of course, she's been there as well as I have, but I don't even know where I'm going with this again. We might as well just move on to Hobbit trilogy.
Can I just ask, plus size, do you agree with me though? Do you want to see the what Trooper was describing as well?
Like,
Oh yeah, I when you were saying about well, first of all, no, I have no desire to see man hating, kill all the men, female predators rule the earth film. I don't want to see that at all because I know I agree with Trooper. That's what they want
yeah,
to do. They're
yeah,
buying up these properties so they can destroy them to fit their political narrative. That's basically
What
what it
she's
is.
doing?
well, the
She's
beauty of it is
targeting only the men.
the beauty of it
Is this
is when they so with these companies, like say when they sell off intellectual property because they've screwed themselves over to the point where they need to sell stuff off, it when they go to be valued, it's kind of like you have, when you're having your house appraised or whatever, you're going to make it look as pretty as possible to get the most the biggest dollar amount that you can from the appraiser. So it's the same thing when they go to appraise themselves as a company. They take the totality of the content. They don't look at the woke crap that they've just put out within the last 5-10 years. It's like, oh well, this is how much it's worth in total. So yeah, so I mean that's why they can ruin a lot of these IPs, because I mean in their eyes they're not really losing money, and they're really not. I think we talked about this in the green room where they can put out whatever they want. You're still going to have people, oh, that's DC, oh, that's Marvel. They're still going to show up to the comic store. And I think that's what Leia is alluding to also, is that they can pretty much do whatever they want. And there's no backslap, if you will, from the
there is a backslap, Trooper. There is a backslap because they keep re-releasing all the nostalgia. And if you look at the numbers, the nostalgic stuff is still selling more than the newer stuff.
Yeah, and that's why they can get away with the woke stuff, because they'll just put out more super epic collector edition triple platinum version of the Snow White film with added content and new character you never saw before.
And Black Snow White this time around. Dollar Don
Oh,
Shore
that's racist
clone.
because Snow White. If she's black, she can't be Snow White. She got to be like Snow Cocoa. Well,
She
she
gonna
can't.
be coal black.
No, she can't even. No, she can't even be Snow White. She can't even be Snow White. She's got to be. She's got to be like like her. You can't even use the word.
Hang on, Trooper. Let everybody recover first.
That is a Starbucks drink, no cocoa.
Yeah,
I thought y'all.
No,
You know what? For a minute there, I thought you guys were laughing at my coal black comment.
no. Yeah, that might as well be her name because you can't call her Snow White because even Snow is white and white
She's
is
gonna
white.
be cocoa butter.
Yeah, she's gonna be Coco Mache or whatever. I don't know.
Or cocoa bean.
Yeah.
Well, according to these SJWs, no, she'll stay white, but she'll be played at a black actress because
Oh, no.
because
Yeah.
the black actress can play Snow White.
Whatever the hell she wants.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because
and if I want to be Snow White, I shall be Snow White. I mean, look at Bridgerton for heaven's sakes. So if you want
Oh
to
yeah,
get
Bridgerton.
You know, and then they'll say
Oh,
this was first ever Black Snow White, and I'm like, I'd like to refer you to the '90s when we had that Cinderella. No, not Snow White. I'm sorry, it was Cinderella.
yeah,
That
Brandy.
that one, yeah. And what was it? She had a what was it? And okay, so we had a Black Cinderella, and then we had her mom, and then the prince's mom and dad were black and white, and the prince was Asian. And I'm
Now
just
that,
like, that's diversity.
yes. How
I'm
he
still
got
waiting.
to be Asian?
I'm still waiting
ahead,
for
Drew.
Drew Barrymore to apologize for her role in Ever After. That's what I'm waiting for. I mean, that's the next ball to drop.
what the hell did she do wrong?
Well, she played Snow White,
There's nothing wrong with
And?
after.
and the name Snow White is inherently systemically racist.
Oh my god! Here we go.
I'm still waiting for that.
Are you saying they supposed to call her Snowflake?
Well, you can't even do that because that's also racist. Like this is where we're getting to in the discourse of pop culture. Like even superheroes and Disney princesses have inherently systemically nomenclature that's rooted in racism. So right.
Mhm.
So
I can guarantee, back to you were saying about the Russos, I can guarantee you if the Russos were directing Victim Falcon Black Cap with I'm Sorry I'm a White Guy Winter Soldier, the show
Listen, Negro and other white guy.
yes.
oh my
Yeah.
god. Dude, it would
Yes.
be making money right now because all these people would be like, "Oh yes, Bucky is doing what he's supposed to do. He's like totally taking ownership for all the world problems."
Yes, that's exactly.
Oh my
yes.
goodness. There was a
Yes.
Twitter thread I had visited a day ago.
Yeah.
And there was somebody was complaining about the fact that the Wakandans had put a inhibitor chip into his
I hated that.
arm.
Yes.
Oh, I heard.
I hated that.
And
Yes.
this black Twitter broad had the nerve to say, well, he was acting he's acting like a colonizer. He was treated like a colonizer as he should be. I'm like, excuse. Ooh, I want to hunt down that thread so bad.
Well, and I am going to.
I was ready to hunt, bruh. I was ready to hunt down that thread so bad,
I guess Carnation
and shout down that girl like, excuse you.
I guess Carnation forgot that her freaking ancestors also
excuse you, Bonkiki.
Like, Bonkiki.
Excuse you, Bonkiki. The Wakandas are. Last time I checked, the Wakandas are supposed to be portrayed as benevolent black folk. They should not be this totalitarian towards other people.
Right.
Last time I checked, if you care to watch Black Panther again with me, they're supposed to be these quote unquote benevolent black folk. that you like to admire so much.
Right.
So you trying to tell me that you okay with putting a shackle on a white dude that has never shackled any black person in his life
Oh goodness. Oh goodness.
just
You
for
better be glad I wasn't
existing?
there.
Right.
You
I
better be
was,
glad.
bruh, I was ready to flip over a table. I was ready to punch a wall. I was going to do everything a strong black man was going to do if you piss him off.
Mm-mm.
Is there an explosive
Man,
in that arm that they gave him?
man, I swear.
Mm-mm.
Look, I was gonna say, may I remind you that arm was given to him by T'Challa. So
Right.
that's telling me that T'Challa didn't even trust Bucky.
Right.
That's
Right.
character. That is,
Which
and
is
this is
which is
coming
BS.
from.
That's total BS because everything that he did was because he realized his vendetta against Bucky nearly made him do an irredeemable mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and also he helped out a friend for a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget about that. So you trying to tell me no sooner than Chadwick Boseman passing from last year, you were ready to character assassinate T'Challa, one of your money trains, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
undeserved if you ask me, completely undeserved because I will still stand by what I said. I enjoyed Aquaman way more so than Black Panther,
Oh
which
yeah.
is
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
respect again, much respect to Chadwick Boseman doing his role and doing his part in that movie. But
Oh
what I'm
yeah.
saying is, I am I the only one who pay attention to these movies
Mm-hmm.
than these wackos?
Well,
Because last time I checked, I don't think T'Challa would have been okay putting an inhibitor chip in Bucky's arm like that.
oh,
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna
That
put a
is
That's
collar
some
on
that,
you.
that's
that's
some
basically
that's some that's some Tower of Babel BS right there.
That's tying
that.
into
Those,
prequels, though. That is
for those who don't know what Tower of Babel is, I'm sorry guys, I'm on a roll. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Please.
Oh,
For
go
those of
ahead.
you
Go
for
ahead. Don't
those of you
stop
who are
now.
not aware of Tower of Babel, Tower of Babel was a Justice League story where Batman had these contingency plans. Let's put them in air quotes here. Contingency plans against each member of the Justice League
Yep.
Mhm.
for when they ever do go off the rails. Like Superman decided to destroy the world one day, or Wonder Woman decided to assert her own power and lead her Amazons, right? Or
Mhm.
even Green Lantern decides to play corrupt police officer on planet Earth. You know,
Mhm.
Mhm.
that's why I think, and of course we have Ra's al Ghul in this case, Ra's al Ghul in the comics taking those contingency plans and using them against the Justice League.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
even then, that's not even a betrayal of Batman because his contingency plans were to neutralize, not kill.
right. Which was explained, of course, in great detail in Justice League Doom. So
Mm.
when I time I see that, thank you, Madden Nui. Cause yeah, I was like, wait, ain't that a Batman? I'm gonna be kind and let's call it Justice League, uh, Justice League. But yeah, Madden Nui's right. It is a Justice League. It's a Justice League. It's a Batman comic. But anyways, that's what I'm saying. What my point being is that when I saw that, I'm like, that reminded me of Tower of Babel. That just
Mm.
you basically just destroyed T'Challa's character for me. You
Yeah,
basically mean to tell
Too.
me
Me
that
too.
that T'Challa do not trust Bucky, even though he helped Bucky recuperate from the programming that he received from Hydra.
that's another thing too. Is that's basically I don't know if that actually that could technically count as an in-universe prequel because you just rewrote the past.
And another thing, one thing I want to bring up that the poster Chris criticized about is the fact that even though that Bucky found out and called them out on it, they don't apologize. They don't. They try to justify what they're doing. And
Mhm.
the poster that talked about him being a colonizer, I'm like, oh, so you're justifying Wakanda's betrayal to the Winter Soldier.
You're just yeah, exactly. You're excusing bad behavior with bad. So you
With
justify
more
bad
bad behavior. Yeah.
with more bad behavior.
And
Exactly.
this is why I blame Black Panther for I kind of lay some blame to Black Panther, or at least Ryan Coogler, who did the writing and directing for
Hmm.
Black Panther, because a lot of what the Black community has adopted, which they're using nowadays, especially even in the white social justice community,
Hmm.
colonizer.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
Uh-huh.
so I'm so sick and tired of that racial slur, and I'm going to call it for what it is, a racial slur.
Well, yeah, because it
I,
has more effect than squatter. It has more of a profound backdrop to it. That's all
yeah,
they
well,
want. They want the backdrop, not the meaning of the word. So
Can you name me one culture in human history that didn't colonize another? Whether
exactly.
hmm, uh,
Every
You
nope.
you don't. Here's the thing.
that's a human problem, not
Here's
just
a
an ethnic problem. That's a human problem.
here's the thing though. You don't need to sell on boats to colonize. You
Mm-hmm.
can travel by
Hmm.
foot. Basically, any village, any small village is a colony. As it
Mm-hmm.
grows, it becomes a village. It started as a colony and it grew into be a village.
Hmm.
Majority of where we stand on is, yes, it's colonized territory, but it
Mm-hmm.
started as most areas started as villages.
Hmm.
And even if you didn't come to a place on sea, your own land, you're born on land, you build houses, you build huts, you build a community. That is colonization.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So technically, we are all colonizers.
Boom. Bingo.
absolutely.
Oh
Mic
I
my
drop.
I
god.
You mean I
um
can't be
Mic drop
virtuous?
right there. Go ahead, Leia. Sorry, Trooper. Go ahead, Leia.
Good.
you have just expressed, all of you guys here is just expressed why, one, I don't watch the show. I refuse
Hmm.
to watch the show because it's doing the very thing that I feared. And that my feared was the retconning of Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes. And that's
And
all the
definitely
show is.
T'Challa.
And T'Challa. I couldn't believe it either.
You
They
have just
they
pissed
just
on his grave right there. You pissed on Chadwick Boseman's grave.
You did, yes, yes, absolutely. You definitely did. And there are just these idiots, and this is back to Trooper. You're saying these are these fools who will sit there and say, "Oh yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, I watched that. I know this. I hear from them.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of thought that was a good idea for the to the for the Wakandans to put this arm on Bucky and prove that they really didn't trust him, because it was yeah, they had, yeah, so they really assassinated him then.
I'd argue
And
that I'm mostly talking about MCU T'Challa. I know that he screwed up in the comics thanks to Coates.
oh, Coates, yeah, it's
Hey,
horrible. I agree.
I
I
happen
agree
to
with
have
you.
my 12 rules for life written by Red Skull. So I mean, I'm good to go. It's literally it's literally uh sitting next to my triggered book by a certain son of a certain president, and it's also sitting next to my hardcover of the Betty Crocker cookbook.
So you
Yeah,
all just three, yep, you all three made reasons why I want nothing to do with that show.
right.
And what was I going to say? Because, well, Wolf just basically made it. It just shows you. I think it's just that you've got some idiots or Marvel addicts that want Marvel so badly. They know it's stupid and wrong and
Yeah.
dumb, but they just gotta suck it up. They say, well, they tell me I gotta watch something, but it's Marvel. But yeah, it's dumb, but I'll go for it. But a lot of people were very upset at that moment. There were tons of people that were furious. People with brain and common sense were
Mhm.
very upset at what they'd done. And then I was just going to say, if the Russos were in charge of victim
That
black
never would have
man,
happened.
yeah, victim black man with "I'm sorry, I'm a white guy, Winter Soldier,"
Mhm.
um, which is when they had Bucky to say that I just want to vomit. I didn't see the episode, I saw a clip, and I just wanted to I wanted to get in there in that stream just like you did, Commander. But if the Russos had it, that show would be on fire right now and would be the hottest thing streaming. But it's not, and it's just,
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah, it's just. But I agree with you totally, percent, Wolf. Not only did they spit on Steve Rogers, spit on Bucky, but they really tore up Chakala. Oh, but no one is to touch the Falcon. they don't realize just how tokenized they're making this character. They're really not doing him any justice at all. They, and to add the nail in the coffin, I think I read somewhere where they're making some sort of petition. Well, actually, I think Mackie got some MTV TV Award nomination for Best Hero. Nobody else on the show, just Anthony Mackie, which tells me the show is yeah, just for Anthony Mackie. Nobody else on the show. Anthony Mackie is Best Hero. Nobody else matters.
Well, it's only award to one person, so I'm willing to overlook that. But Anthony Mackie, what has he done?
I'm still waiting.
What has he done?
I'm still
So the
waiting
Winter
for him
Soldier
to.
does what the Winter Soldier doesn't count.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I'm still-
No, I'm saying. I'm saying.
still waiting
it
for
says- it
Anthony
says
to
best.
freaking.
I agree with you. I'm saying I agree with you, Leia plus size, but I'm just like thinking like it is called best hero. So one's gotta be a word. Where I am gonna agree with you there, it's not earned. That's why I asked what has Mackie done in the
Okay,
show.
I see.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm still waiting for him to.
Like I said, I'm willing to
apologize for 8
overlook it
Mile.
because one has to win. Not participate. We're not talking about participation award here, but it
Right.
is unearned though. I'm willing to agree with you there. It is unearned.
I agree. Okay, I got you. All right, Trooper, what you gonna say?
I was gonna say I'm still waiting for Anthony to apologize for being an 8 Mile and enabling the
Jungle Fever.
right. It's like I was like, where does it stop? Like, okay, so they've managed to trash 2 characters in one show. And now that they have a successful model for doing it, you're going to see a lot of this stuff go behind a paywall. It's what they want to do with subsequent films is they want to put them behind a paywall now.
Mm-hmm. Don't even think for a second Loki will be any better. I have a fear about the Loki show. I have a really bad feeling about Loki.
Trailer at all. I'm not even interested.
It's gonna be one of these. Oh, he was never a bad guy. He was a benevolent trickster. He was a benevolent trickster. He didn't mean to, almost kill New York. He was misinformed. Like,
yes, that's how it's gonna be.
You mean New York? That one black broad that got spat on twice?
Right. It's like let's we don't need to see any more.
What I'm talking about, do you?
Like we don't need to see any more of Luke Cage or Misty Knight because those are actually strong characters that don't fit with their narrative. Let's go over here. Let's go watch Falcon be derided and be turned into
a mouthpiece, basically.
Yeah.
Basically somebody else's mouthpiece or for why America is bad. If America is bad to you, why are you still here?
Let's watch the lynching of Falcon in Lifetime. It's like, really? I mean, I thought we were I thought we were creating
that
stories.
happened in the show?
Like, well, look, here's the thing.
No. That's not a question of if it happens. That's a question of when.
Yeah. Because that's where it's gonna go. It's like we already know T'Challa's not coming back, and in IRL the dude's already gone about his thing. Cancer didn't work out. No more Chadwick for all the Chadwick fans. All you have is all the stuff he put out before. That's if you want more Chadwick, you get yourself some Gods of Egypt and kind of laugh at the character that he portrayed, that kind of stuff.
I like this character in Gods of Egypt, by the way.
Yeah, I thought it's a fun film.
I don't know what people's beef is. I'm like, you have a smart black dude for once.
Well,
the most intelligent god.
They can't be
and he's
smart.
Black.
They can't you can't have them using the internet because that breaks their narrative. You can't have them doing any type of ID because all these victimized Black people are driving around without a driver's license. Okay, so how do they pay their utility bill? Well, I don't know, but it's racist. So it's like,
exactly.
I also point out too that these are the writers and directors of these characters who are portraying a very stereotyped versions of Black people are Blacks themselves who are driving the nice cars, who got the nice deals, and who are living I guess you could say the good life, quote unquote.
Well, here's the thing, and it's like,
And they
okay,
still act
so
like they're oppressed. Thank you so much
so
for being a race hustler.
yeah, so while they're doing that, they're subversively like replacing Sam Wilson, who becomes Captain America, right? So now
Right.
we're subbing them with another person of color, which is America Chavez, and this is kind of what we were talking about before with the freaking Terminator woke fate, where where we went from Sarah Connor to a really bad version of Colombiana with what I mean? And it's like
Which, by
that
the way,
movie's
that's
been done
not a
before.
terrible. This is not a
Like,
terrible movie.
it's not terrible.
Colombiana is a terrible movie.
You're,
I did not
bro,
understand what
bro,
the heck that movie was even about.
bro. All you,
It was
I was
Colombian La
supposed
Femme Nikita.
bro.
Is
It's
it-
all about.
I was supposed to watch the movie for the movie's sake. I'm sorry. I was watching the movie because of the very good-looking person in it.
Yeah. Well, I was watching because it's Zoe. It's 2 hours of Zoe.
I like
like,
Zoe too, but like, dang, they I'm sorry to say they didn't do a good job selling that she can kick some behind in that movie. Not so much like an Avatar and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
But then again,
bro, it's just 2 hours of watching a hot chick freaking being
it's 2
hot on
hours of
film.
shaky cam watching a hot chick kick some butt.
Hey, yeah.
Hey.
And you're complaining because
Oh, I'm being objectified. Like, really? I mean, so what would you like for me not to do? Do you not want my attention, or do you want my money? Well, I kind of want your money. Okay, then. It's like, I mean,
be straightforward, girl. Dang, why you beating around the bush?
it's like that's why we watch these films. I mean, yeah, we like storytelling. I mean, as guys, we do like storytelling. When it's not about it, when it's not about a girl. But I mean, when it's about a girl, there's a wide berth. There's a wide berth what you can do with a female hero or a female character. Guys, I mean, as guys, we tend to be more chivalrous towards females. We give them a wide berth of what they can and can't do. So it's like, don't take that as being, misogynist or anything like that. I mean, we want you to be you. You do you. I mean, if you have pink hair, just kind of sell your mouth shut and, do your thing. And by all means, if you look nice, I'll watch 2 hours. I won't do Atomic Blonde because that to me, I'm like, I can't do a woman trying to beat a dude with a shoe. I just can't. I just can't.
I'm pretty sure there'll be a time where you can look past the shoe and finally watch that movie for what it's worth.
One day you will look past the shoe and see the dangerous blunt instrument that it can be.
Well,
or at least no. I'm saying like she does more than just hit somebody with a shoe. She actually Tarzan her behind out of a balcony using a dude's body.
I'm waiting for the rewrite when it's no longer Atomic Blonde and it's like nuclear braids. It's like,
wow. I'm ready to start right if that happens.
Starring.
We'll call it Thunder Thighs.
Oh, I did not watch Thunder Farce. I did not. Like,
oh goodness.
I heard some negative reviews and I'm like,
dude,
I can't watch that.
It has freaking Melissa McCarthy. That tells me all the reason to stay away from that.
I wanted to watch that Muppet film that weren't Muppets.
Oh yeah, Happy Time Murders.
I wanted to see that. I wanted to see that. Like,
why did I have a dream about that this morning? Or something like it. I had no BS, guys. I literally had a dream about that movie this morning. For some reason, before I got up and started getting everything ready to broadcast.
It's your subconscious mind telling you to watch the movie again.
I mean, I'm sure
I didn't watch the movie. That's the thing. I didn't watch it.
I'm sure it's that type of situation.
That's your mind saying watch it.
Yeah, that's I would tend to think it's kind of the situation where the trailers really are the film, and that sucks because that's been the thing for a while now, that the trailers are more interesting than the film itself. Although
there's a better Happy Time Murders out there, anyways. It's called Dick Tracy,
right? Or
there's another one too. It's called Meet the Feebles.
That
which
or Cool World
by Peter Jackson.
Cool World, or what Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Let's get back on topic, guys. Let's talk about the Hobbit trilogy.
Oh, okay. Well, we all know that's one of those projects where the studio got involved and they turned a 2-film biopic into a trilogy.
Yeah.
I remember somewhere in comments, someone said the third film was excessive or did not need to happen. That's actually true because the third film is literally gratuitous action. But I mean, if you're into gratuitous action, you're going to be like, "Oh, that was great."
Right.
It could have been 2 movies.
It should have been 2 films, and I know where
Cardinal
they were
West.
going. I
If
mean,
have you guys ever followed Cardinal West?
nah.
No.
He did a video of his rewrite, and he pretty much did it in one movie, and I actually liked it.
Wow.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. But go ahead. Who was talking first? I'm sorry, I got cross-eyed there.
I think it was Trooper.
Go ahead, Trooper.
I was, but I'm enjoying my raspberry and goji rose kombucha for all the people in the stream.
Oh, nice.
So, all right.
If anyone's going to take anything away from this stream, it's how not to write a prequel and just write and do your stuff.
Well,
do your thing.
The problem that we get into the prequel trap is that once you have an established franchise, and this happened more with Lord of the Rings. Actually, no, with Lord of the Rings, it's slightly different than Star Wars. I mean, granted, according to Lucas, he had all the scripts, whatever, where he wanted to go with it, whatever. We all know where Tolkien went. I think there was more interest on behalf of Peter Jackson to actually do the actual Lord of the Rings trilogy, and then you get into the situation where it's like, okay, Lord of the Rings was so fantastic, we want you to do The Hobbit. Or maybe his intention was eventually, okay, maybe I'll do a Hobbit film afterwards. But, there's nothing to hold my attention right now. But it's kind of like the Queen Amidala argument that I had made earlier, where you set the bar to a certain extent that it's hard to meet. So, granted, visually, it's a beautiful film. It's a beautiful trilogy. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I personally like Luke Evans, so there's nothing wrong with that.
That's Bart.
Yeah. So
that's for the people in the back. For those who don't know who Luke Evans' part was in the movies.
I liked Evangeline Lilly. I mean, mainly because that's probably the most beautiful representation of her as an actress that we're ever going to get. Because subsequently after that, like, she did, Wasp, and it wasn't as good. Like, the makeup just wasn't as good. And I think that seems to be another thing too, where we've gotten to the point where we're getting away with trying to do female characters we're trying to ugly would be the best way to put it. We're trying to unpretty female characters now. They can't be attractive. They can't be.
Wait, you didn't like her bob cut in the first Ant-Man movie?
Well, here's the thing. I did not like that bob. That to me looked more like a wig. But what I'm getting at is,
you know what?
Yeah,
you convinced me, man. You got me. I'm like, you know what? He wins.
Yeah, and I
he wins.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's like I get, I get not wanting to make females be, or rather, with makeup and everything and all that stuff, making a female actress be as gorgeous as she can possibly be. Oh, you're objectifying me. It's like, woman, you already got paid to do this part.
Woman.
You already got paid to do this part. Just be a puppet and do what I'm asking you to do. It's. I mean, we saw that happen with Captain Marvel and the Hillary cut. In Endgame.
Oh my God.
And the thing with Endgame, even, that's the hairstyle that Captain Marvel has in the comics. It's just,
it is.
I don't think
Captain Marvel.
I don't think any artistic interpretation was happening at this point. They're just literally going off of what they have to go by in the comics because, royalties or whatnot. But, going back to Lord of the Rings, the only reason Lord of the Rings could do something like that, and honestly think films like that wouldn't be made today, is because the world of Tolkien is one that is rooted in fantasy. That's why we don't see a lot of fantasy films. Closest to that is what Game of Thrones, maybe. But elves inherently are attractive, and then you have Middle Earthers, and you have dwarves and stuff like that. But you can't say there isn't inclusivity because all the races all the races of mankind or just all the races in Tolkien's world are represented at one point or another. But yeah, we got beautiful depictions of female elves with Arwen and with Toriel, even though she wasn't a canon figure.
They wanted an Arwen. They wanted
Yeah,
another Arwen.
they wanted
I'm going
another
to put that
Arwen.
out there right now. They wanted another Arwen.
For me, it worked because it was basically
I
telling.
liked it. I liked her too.
It was almost a retelling of the legend of Beren and Luthien, if you will, from Tolkien's works.
Cimmerillion?
Cimmerillion. Yeah. So it was almost like a retelling. So I mean, if you're a real Tolkien fan, you would have picked up on that really quick. The problem that we had with making a trilogy out of a very short novel is that you have to start making fillers. Like you got to start, okay, well, how is this going to work? Because we still have to get to Lord of the Rings. We never actually do get to Lord of the Rings by the
Let's
third
add
film.
that to part of what makes a prequel fail is when you said that when you make a trilogy you put filler in it.
Yeah.
That's another thing that tends to bugs us when it comes to prequels as well.
I don't think comparatively, I don't think the prequel trilogy had so much of that in Star Wars versus The Hobbit as far as those problems are concerned.
I agree with you, Trooper. With the prequel trilogies, it was definitely trying to tell its own story.
Yeah. And with The Hobbit, we got to the point of, well, there's only so much content. Like, we know that they literally from one chapter to the next, they deal with Smaug. And then at one chapter to the next, we get what looks like a war. But to me, the War of the Five Armies was almost a retelling of the cinematic Return of the King. And I'm like, if anyone was paying attention to Return of the King, that last film was more action than story. But it was justified in the sense of it was still loosely telling the narrative to get to the ending of the book.
Trooper, I agree with you, and I didn't mean to interrupt you. If you thought,
oh no, go ahead. You guys can interrupt me at any time. I mean, I talk a lot, so
a lot of shit, but you can.
Wow.
Excuse me.
Yeah, let me apologize for my gratuitous talking.
No, Leia. You know my catchphrase whenever time he feels like he's going overboard or he's overstepping his boundaries. I'm like, bruh, you talk a lot of shit, but you down. Excuse me.
Oh, okay. I got you. So every time you say that, I follow what you're saying.
But Leia, you should know where that came from. You and I are black.
Uh-oh.
That's from Undercover Brother.
Well,
I haven't seen that.
I did.
You remember that? Don't you remember that line?
Yes, I do.
That's from the Chief to Neil Patrick Harris.
I definitely remember that line very vividly. Yes, I do.
Like right after Neil Patrick does that speech about how he watched Roots and he finally get it, and the Chief just looks at him like, "You talk a lot of shit, but you damn."
Yes.
He's like, "Wait a minute," and Dave was like, "Wait a minute, Chief. What the hell? The white boy get a free pass? You made me, Chief." and then of course we had what's Denise Richards' character in Undercover Brother, the white devil girl?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
white she devil, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like oh yeah, the white girl come too. What the? he's like, give me a pillowcase. I'm joining the clan. Oh my!
I remember that. But back to what Trooper.
That was Dave Chappelle as best.
Isn't Chris Tucker doing something now? Isn't he like in the new Welcome to America or something like that? I thought he was in something. I hadn't seen Chris Tucker for a while.
Not Tucker. Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, when I think of Dave Chappelle, I think of Chris Tucker and I think of Chris Rock. Like I tend to think of them in that black comedian circle, but isn't he doing something new? Because I hadn't seen Chris Tucker in a while, and out of nowhere he's in something.
He's been MIA for a while. I think. This is going to get a little dark, guys, but there is investigation, maybe, or a rumor. Mm-hmm. We all know about the whole Epstein situation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the island.
Yes.
There was something that leaked out of the names who visited the island, and
Mhm.
Chris Tucker's name popped up.
Oh dear.
What?
Yep.
Oh no.
Wow.
So
Oh
I
if
no.
saw.
so
Okay.
Well,
for
you know,
for
Pinocchio
those
went
who
to
are
Pleasure
wondering,
Island too. So I mean,
I'm just saying for those of you who are wondering, that could be one of the reasons why he's probably in hiding right now, maybe, or staying out of the limelight to avoid you know, paparazzi and media press and all that stuff.
yeah.
I don't know
Me too.
that too. He could be that could happen to him too. He's some stuff has cropped up that involved his name, so that's why you haven't seen him in anything recently or haven't heard
Wow.
about him in a while.
Mhm.
Which is
Oh.
why we didn't get no Friday 5
No.
or Friday 4. It was Friday 4.
Oh,
Yep.
Um,
yep.
Everybody's still talking about that. Like y'all need to put that thing to rest. Ice
honestly,
Cube ain't working on no new Friday.
No,
And
it's
y'all
not.
know that. And y'all know it, man.
bring it Ice Cube.
That's what Tucker was always one of my favorite comedians, and I loved his film. So his movies. So I'm sad to hear that he's now he has to go in deep hiding
Mhm.
until
It all
further
blows
notice.
over. Yeah.
Yeah, till it all blows over, he has to go into deep hiding. So, but back to what Trooper was saying about Return of the King. The action, I didn't mind Trooper, and you want to know why? Because I
Mhm.
felt the movies previous for that build up to it.
To it.
We we,
Okay.
we've got to know these characters. That's the first important thing. We know
Mhm.
these characters. We know these people: the hobbits, the dwarves, the elves, humans.
Mhm.
We know all this. We know what's at stake. Now, give us this great battle that
Mhm.
must come down to it. So
Yeah.
I didn't mind it because I felt the two films covered what they needed to get
Mhm.
us to the point of the battle,
To get
which is
it, to get
why
us through that. Yeah.
Return of the King is probably list of one of the greatest trilogies of the finales in movie
Yeah.
history
Yeah,
because
but one of the best part threes.
yes, one of
Yeah.
the best part threes really ever. I mean, I'm telling you, people,
Why?
I
I'll tell you why.
Uh-oh.
Because Gandalf said, "On my command, unleash hell." Boom, 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 boom. Bruh, I get
Mhm.
goosebumps. Bruh, when Gandalf rallies Gondor to fight to meet Mordor,
Mhm.
yes,
and that first fly of that volley from that catapult and that music blares in, I get goosebumps every
I
Exactly.
single time.
yes,
Like
Like
you,
who who was the music the music composer? Oh man, dude, hats off to you for building up that for really what's that word? There's a
building
word
up
for it.
to building up
Hitting that
to the
payoff, hitting that
yeah
payoff. You like for
paid
those
off.
I'm saying for those who've read the books were waiting for that moment in
You
Minas
know,
Tirith.
you want that
na-
empowering moment. There it is, right there, when the King of Gondor is basically telling everybody to surrender and give up, and Gandalf just knocks him down. And like,
Please for your
I
life.
he's like going, "We're gonna
Yes.
fight."
is the figure 46 million for this Lord of the Rings prequel series on Amazon. Does anyone remember the dollar figure? I thought it was 46 mil. Um,
Really now?
yeah, there was an article that just came out with the dollar figure that it's going to cost for the first season production.
Mhm.
And I'm
And
Oh, you're
not
talking about the series.
yeah,
the
that just
series because it's
Yeah,
technically
the
going to
series
be a
on Amazon.
prequel. Yeah, so it's going to involve like Numenor and all that stuff.
Call
Again,
that
now
what that is. Can we call that what that is? The butchering.
exactly
well,
that's
it's going to be a little different. It's going to be a little different, and only in the fact, and not like Star Wars, in that the Tolkien estate still owns a lot of that property. So there's actual people that they have that actually know the Tolkien stuff. So I don't know how far woke it can go. It might end up
They'll
being a little
find a
bit.
way.
They'll find a way. Yeah, like they'll find a way around that. But I mean, it'll still essentially be more Tolkien than it will. Than gosh, than what we're getting with all these retooling of franchises.
Yeah.
Um,
I hope so, because when I heard that, I rolled my eyes and said, "Well, they got Star Wars, MCU. Why not go after Tolkien?"
well,
And I'm still not confident. Well, I'll have to play the wait game and see how this rolls out.
Well, I'll throw woke Hollywood a bone. I'm like, guys, if you happen to have some freaking $25 an hour crony that like looks through all these streams looking for content, I mean, if you really want to hit it big, you do a Conan prequel. I mean, freaking James Earl Jones is in his 90s. You got to get him right now.
Yes.
Not as
know,
Thulsa Doom.
While he can still do
Doom.
a great granddaddy to Thulsa Doom and do it like Marco Polo on Netflix. You know, it's like
I still need to rewatch that because I didn't fully
You know what? I
watch
was
Marco
thinking, you know
Polo.
what? Go into motion capture at this point. I mean, you guys saw. Did any of you guys ever see Adventures of Tintin?
Yeah.
no. But now that we're talking about mocap, I mean, they're gonna do that with freaking. I hopefully they'll use more of a deep fake algorithm, but that's what they're gonna do with what's his face.
Christopher Lee.
No, I was gonna say in No Way Home with Doc Ock, since the leak's already out that Doc
yeah,
Ock is gonna be
I
in
heard
it.
about that. Yes. Yeah.
I can't think of his name right now because it escaped
Alfred
me.
Molina.
Yeah, Molina. Yeah, so
Why they
they're
want
gonna
to defake him?
well, it's more de-aging is what they're gonna do. They're gonna do what they did with Samuel L. But see, Sam did so much stuff cinematically when he was really big into making films. So I mean, there was a lot of material to pull from. The only thing they really needed was a body double for any of the running scenes. That's what they really needed. Because
Right.
I mean,
Right.
homebro ain't 20. You know, it's like he's not gonna run like a 20-year-old. Or better yet, don't even have him run. Have him be like freaking Shaft. Have him freaking walk into everything because you know he's so cool. He don't gotta run.
Like I'm gonna get you sucker with the background music.
That's right,
Oh,
and that's
yeah.
what they didn't do. That's what they didn't do because they can't have a strong black man against a liberated woman.
Can we just call
Exactly.
You know
And
what?
Captain
Yeah,
Marvel
just
was a prequel to freaking First Avenger. That's what that was. That's,
hang on, Trooper.
Yeah,
Schooner
yeah.
has something to say.
I'm just saying he's so cool. The door's open for him.
Mhm.
Is that a Jedi reference?
Yeah,
So,
he's so cool. He's so cool. The door's open for him. Anyway,
Mhm.
but back to what I was saying about it. Yeah, especially because Captain Marvel is technically a prequel, not to Captain America: The First Avenger, but to Iron Man.
yeah,
that-
yeah.
Yeah.
That right there again is a failure because they've retconned it. That's a failure of a prequel because it basically takes an existing continuity and retcons it, saying that she's the real inspiration for the Avengers initiative, not Captain America.
Mhm.
What I want to know, since I brought it up, is I want to know what Jude Law's contract was like because subsequently his image wasn't used in a lot of because I collect Marvel Legends. I haven't right now. I mean, you guys pretty much know my situation in terms of how I ended up where I'm at right now. But when I saw Jan Rog's action figure, you don't get Jude's likeness in hardly anything other than maybe the movie production posters, and that's about it.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
They did my boy Jude like that.
I think it had to do with I'll be in your film, but you can't use my likeness in anything else. Because I don't know if you guys remember when Winter Soldier came out. There were a lot of action figures for Captain America that had Chris Evans' likeness. I actually have some, and the only reason I have some is because I wanted the cardboard with his likeness because I knew that was going to be a limited run. Because now, like, I mean, look at where we're at with Falcon Makes a Buck. Like, we're not even using. You know,
That's
it's
what
like,
we're going to call it right now. Falcon Makes a Buck.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like we're not getting anything that remotely has Chris Evans in it. Like, I mean,
Yes.
it costs them a lot of money now to use his likeness. And RDJ made out like a bandit. I mean, he's made so much money from his character. I mean, they basically just use him to kind of thread a lot of these movies together as being the one constant character. So,
like how he ended up in the Incredible Hulk at the end.
mhm.
Right.
Yeah. And that was one of those things
Well,
where,
if I recall, that was a last minute addition in post.
yeah. Like even RDJ said it was, hey, we might do this. We don't know. I mean, we haven't really looked into this, but hey, would you like to do something really quick? And of course, RDJ being a fan of
Yes.
the stuff, he's like, yeah, I'll do it. It's like no big deal. So I mean, that's like in my viewing order, the first film that I always view, and I don't view the first. I don't view the Captain America film first. I do the Hulk first because that's how I get around the introduction of RDJ into the MCU, and then I kind of follow an order of films that are more to the Infinity Stones than the actual cinematic.
I like how you mentioned that. Actually, let me add to what you're saying about already doing the Hulk film first.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That could be the stepping stone to how Tony was still in the weapons. Like you could actually say that Tony was still in the arms race program
Yeah.
at that point. Still, like if you really notice, he's a completely different character in that one scene.
Yeah.
Versus what he was in Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
If I recall, they were doing. There was actually that clip was supposed to be the clip with him and Ross. They did something in the MCU with Agent Coulson talking about this, saying like we need to because Shield is learning that the Council wants to maybe add the Abomination to the Avengers Initiative, and they don't think it's a good idea. So they basically say we need somebody to convince Ross to pull it, to basically take his name.
Dominic.
Hey, Dom.
Hey, Dom. Who's Dom?
Hello.
Dominic Powell.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like thinking.
No, you're a Dom Schooner. You're the Dom.
No, he's an eldritch alien locked in a basement.
Yeah, there you go.
But I have great Wi-Fi, so I'm okay.
That has great Wi-Fi. Well, the great Wi-Fi is actually the elder gods, the others.
Oh goodness, the Eternals.
Oh, no.
It's okay. I just had to power through 2 dimensions. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Anyway, but if I'm recalling correctly, they kind of retconned what that whole sequence was. But I'm sorry, I got off track. Go ahead, continue.
I only know.
Oh, you were Scoonie, you were talking because it was sounding so. You were talking about. You said that the original storyline of having that scene was the fact that the agency of Ross or something was talking about bringing the Abomination into Shield, and they didn't think it was a good idea, and that they Coulson talked to Tony.
Yeah, Coulson talks to Tony, and he says, "Well, we need he says we need somebody who will change his mind." And Coulson says, "I have an idea," and then it goes to Tony going to talk to Ross. So obviously, Tony talking to Ross led to Ross withdrawing Abomination from the Avengers Initiative.
Mm-hmm. Like one of these days, I'll put up my MCU viewing order on MeWe because I have a viewing order for all the Spider-Man films too. Because the way I view the Spider-Man films is in the terms of the Spider-Verse. So and I mean, I even cut out Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 2, because I was not too happy with the death of Gwen Stacy. I thought that trilogy could have literally had Gwen Stacy the entire time, and we don't even have to touch that part. You know what I mean? And
I was hoping the same too.
They weren't interested in doing Gwen Stacy. They wanted dead girlfriend. That's all that was.
Yeah, and my whole thing is, okay, that could have been the end for the third film and really ended on a very, very, because we usually get the happily ever after in most of these films. It could have been one of those things where
Spider-Man 3 didn't really have a happily ever after either. But I get what you're saying. That would actually work really well.
Well, freaking with Sam Raimi and Spider-Man 3, I mean, that was Spider-Man 4, 5, and 6. I mean, he was trying to do everything in one film because he knew he wasn't going to be doing another one. Here we are, fast forward to No Way Home, and we're right back in the same situation. Like, I think it was through CBR Comic Books Review, I came across an article that pretty much said that they're going to be introducing America Chavez in Multiverse of Madness, and I'm like, why are we doing this? I'm like, we're not focused on fixing Wanda. I mean, we still got to fix that part, it's a Doctor Strange film. Am I going to
Fix
get more?
Wanda. We still have to fix Endgame.
Oh, forget about
Thank you.
Endgame. That I won't even watch it. Like, it's still in its cellophane, just like Captain Marvel. Like, I bought it, but I bought it so that I could have it in case I ever need to burn it. So,
Oh, smart. Truther, you think like me. Oh,
yeah.
that movie is it's banned from my home. It's banned and in my presence. I have a sign there that said, "Do not bring in game into this house." You are not.
Well, yeah,
You are
because the first
forbidden.
2 hours they're just grieving, and I get it. It's a grief fest for all the freaking pink hairs, so they can all oh my gosh, I can so relate to Captain America being in a grieving group, and let's inject some form of alphabet mafia storyline in there, like
Yes.
with the
Yeah.
director talking about his partner, and I'm like, bro, I don't need to hear this. I want to see some dudes kick ass. Like,
Can I
why is
say
the
Exactly.
last?
Can I
Exactly.
say something else? Okay,
Yeah, go for it.
Captain Marvel is the wrong way to do a prequel
Oh yeah.
movie in the Marvel
yeah.
universe. Can I say, though, Ant-Man and the Wasp is actually a step in the right direction because you're not making a prequel. It's running adjacent to Infinity War.
Agreed.
So while Ant-Man and the Wasp is happening and Infinity War is happening.
Well, what we should have gotten is Ant-Man, first film should have been an Ant-Man film. Ant-Man and the Wasp should have been a Wasp film, and just retitled The Amazing Wasp. And then the third Ant-Man film, which eventually we will get, should be the Ant-Man and the Wasp team up. So it's like, even though they're already teaming up, now they're a team, they're in love, and we pretty much get the same storyline that was alluded to.
Can I say this? I do love that chemistry between them.
Mm-hmm.
They have good chemistry.
Yep.
Just like surprisingly, Jan and Hank has a good relationship in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly, I was like, bro, I'm gonna tell you right now. When they announced Ant-Man, I was like, are they gonna do Hank Pym? Because if you're gonna do Hank Pym, I'm a little worried there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because we all know his track history. We all know Hank's track history. And surprisingly, when I first watched the first Ant-Man, like, oh, good, thank you. They treated Hank. They treated Hank Pym with respect this time. He finally got his big break.
Because
Even
it was
in the
Michael
second
Douglas.
movie.
Yeah.
Even in the second movie, he's got a good big break. What you gonna say, Scooter?
It's Michael Douglas. There's no way they're gonna give Michael Douglas the Hank Pym arc.
Right.
Yeah.
They weren't going to do that.
The Hank Pym pip hand.
Yeah, and again, it is Michael Douglas, so I mean, he's also very particular about what he'll do and won't do, because as an actor, I mean, he takes his brand seriously. So
that was the same with Robert Redford.
Oh yeah, oh my gosh, dude! Like, his character was, like, to me anyway, it was like a hat tip to Spy Game, because that's one of the few Brad Pitt films that I actually will watch, because it's so cool. It's like, it's not even a freaking Brad Pitt film. It's literally a Robert Redford film.
What film?
It really is. Yeah, like, I mean,
what film?
Spy Game.
Spy Game.
Okay.
Yeah, like, I'm sure you can get it, like, rented on, like, for $3 on Amazon Prime, or just on Amazon or whatever. But it's such a freaking good film. And again, that's one of those films that I found in the freaking $5 bin. And I'm like, why is this thing in the $5 bin? This thing is freaking amazing. And I won't spoil it, but oh my gosh, man, it's like we haven't gotten so many spy versus spy type films in a very long time. I think we could have probably gotten one with freaking Black Widow, because technically it's a prequel to her death, but I'm kind of wondering, is she really dead? I mean, that to me has always been the thing, is she really dead? Like, could
it be her sister wearing clown makeup? Not kidding.
Well, it's not going to be, what is it, Yelena Belova? Like, I get, maybe she'll be the next Black Widow, but
yeah,
like,
she's the new woke Black Widow.
Yeah, my whole thing.
I'm gonna feel bad for Imogen Poots. I mean, Flora Pooh. Not Imogen Poots, but Florence Pooh.
Well,
I'm really gonna feel sorry, because I like that actress. I don't know what her politics is. Frankly, I don't. It's obvious I don't care. But like she's a good actress, and I really don't want her talents wasted.
Well, and here's the thing now.
Like that.
I mean, to be associated with Marvel, more or less. I mean, three things tend to happen: is you have to obviously do what they tell you, and then usually when they sign you up, I mean, you're signed up for maybe what 2-3 films. I mean, they're successful to the point where if you get a standard contract from these people, you're almost guaranteed 5 years, maybe more of work. I mean, and that's for the older characters. I don't know about the new ones, like, because again, we're coming to know a new crop of characters. Like,
Trooper, hang on. Let me read this comment real quick.
yeah,
Because Donald Powell asked an interesting question. He said, "Speaking of Hank Pym and Janet, what are your honest thoughts on the relationship if you were to look back at it retrospectively, especially when it comes to their individual history?" Bad, very bad.
It was a destructive relationship. That's what it was.
It grew into a destructive relationship, and that's only because as much as I give much respect to Stan Lee, I really wish he had let the guy edit the artwork for Hank slapping Janet,
mm-hmm.
because dude, that's all people associate him with for the longest time,
Mm-hmm.
and Ultimate Hank Pym has made it worse.
Yeah.
To the point where is she still a corpse in space in the Ultimate Universe?
I want to say, to my knowledge, I'd have to look because, like I said, I dropped out of all this stuff when Secret Wars started coming around, and they were literally eliminating the Ultimate Universe.
Or at least I remember her being
I'm
a
out.
zombie cyborg in Marvel Zombies.
That was awesome.
With T'Challa and I think who did he marry in Marvel Zombies? I know it was a white girl.
He married one of Magneto's accolades. The acolyte.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did marry one of them. Had a kid too. Anyway, I'm getting off track.
Right.
I believe she was in space. Don't quote me though.
Yeah, last time I checked, somehow her body got so screwed up to the point where it enlarged itself, and it ended up killing her, and she got sent to space, and it was all again Hank's fault.
I'm looking at this comment from Melissa saying she was in that horrible Black Christmas film. Melissa, I have that film. If it's the one
Florence Pugh?
No, I'm talking about Black Christmas. Like, if it's the movie I'm thinking about, I'm like, I have it. I love it because it's literally Lacey Chabert being a really bad B-list actress. Like, I mean, she never got any work after Party of Five. So this poor woman, I mean, she was in roles and everyone just associates her with her terrible character. So
same thing with Lyndon Ashby. He was in that Prom Night 2010, I think.
And it's like, I love it because she goes to explain her death scene where they're telling her, let the light hit your eyes, let the light hit your eyes. And it's like, you have this like blinding light in your face and you're trying to look dead because, you have to do it a certain way to make yourself look dead on film.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes me think of freaking an unrelated film with Nicolas Cage going on, I'm a vampire.
No, not that one. That's Kiss of the Vampire.
Oh, that's Kiss, the Vampire's Kiss.
Vampire's Kiss.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited with this Robert De Niro, Grace Hightower divorce. I'm super excited because supposedly he's going to be taking any film under the sun now. So we're going to get more Nick Cage type films. Okay, they're terrible films. They're terrible films, but they're so much fun to watch because they're so terrible.
Let me address Melissa Harris about the Blumhouse. Best Blumhouse movies to track down is Upgrade and both Happy Death Day movies.
Oh yeah, Upgrade. I have Upgrade.
Upgrade was good, and I like the first Happy Death Day. The second Happy Death Day just threw its continuity out the window.
I think that's why we have to start kind of putting more spotlight on more independent projects.
Yeah, like love them or hate them, there are some good movies that they did produce. Like
Upgrade was great. I mean, it's one of those. Goodness. It's one of those endings where everybody's happy, more or less. I mean, it's a dark ending, but I mean, if you just kind of break it down, if you break it down to its more base elements, everybody walks away happy.
I mentioned Venom. yesterday in Matchstick's stream,
Mhm.
and I did mention that I kind of wished, no, I really wanted Venom to be a superhero horror film,
Mhm.
like a Jekyll and Hyde situation.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that in my if I was writing it, I would
Mhm.
definitely end Venom the way how Upgrade ended, which I'm not gonna spoil for those who haven't seen that movie.
Mhm.
Because
You know,
that's basically what Venom reminded me of Upgrade.
well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like Venom is one of those films that got it right. Like it does 90s effects really well. And that's one of those things where Captain Marvel went south, where it's trying to be a 90s film from a 2000s perspective. So
Ooh.
yeah, so I love the version of Venom that we got because it was more campy than anything. I mean, it wasn't a horror film or anything like that, and I did kind of like the idea of Eddie more or less having a sidekick that has no moral compass. So having to be a moral compass for a guy that really has no moral compass and is always hungry. And here's the thing: it's like there's a whole world of hungry out there for him, but it's like we don't eat the bad guys, or rather, we don't eat the good guys.
All right.
It's like
Now, let me address Melissa Harris again. Love them or hate them, they don't do things maliciously. Let's just point that out there, Melissa. So I understand your hatred for them. I'm just saying I wouldn't mind point you in the right direction of movies that they did do that are actually good.
well, here's the thing. It's like
Like Split was pretty good.
yeah, I mean, you're gonna get good
Split.
films in a freaking pile of subpar films. And I mean, that's really what we're getting from mainstream. We're getting a lot of subpar films because it's easier to do that. And it's easier to go with a narrative that people will go ahead and sell on social media because the loud 28% of those social that live on social media are the ones that promote it. So, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, it's so great, Bucky totally atoned for all the wrongs of, all these racist people. And, Sam Wilson was just so beat up on, and I feel so bad. You know,
Yeah, they live vicariously.
I'm just
They
like,
sure
oh
do love
God.
living
I'm like,
vicariously through one's suffering,
yeah,
apparently.
yeah.
I
Like I
know.
Venom,
love these narratives because they're so enlightened, and oh my
I know.
god,
I literally need a shovel to get out of here.
right? For reals. But
Exactly.
another movie I want to point out was that actually is a mixture between a prequel and, or at least Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino movies tend to be that, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
A mixture of a
Oh,
prequel and a sequel.
yeah.
Kill Bill, the Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
If you,
nice
if you,
way to weave in some storytelling without like overcomplicating it. Like the actual like backdrop is there's something that happened between her between Kiddo and Bill and all this stuff. But right now what you're like more focused in on is her taking down the crazy 88s.
Yep.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and then the second film was even better because we got away from the Asian grindhouse films to spaghetti western, and
Mhm.
and
Personally,
you,
I prefer Volume 2 over Volume 1. I
I
know a lot
agree.
of people have their favorites, but I always loved Volume 2.
well
Be-
for me,
Mostly because it was quiet. It was relaxing. It slowed down
well
in
that's
a
what
way, and it
Italian
established
western
more
films
character.
are. But
Mm-hmm.
like the first film I liked was main reason being for the Green Hornet montage. I freaking loved it.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
loved it.
yeah.
That was
Yeah.
and it's like you got all these really cool actresses. You got Lucy Liu, like in her prime, freshly exfoliated from the dermatologist's office. you know, her do
And in all of her grace.
yeah, her doing a role that she couldn't do now in 2021, which is a American, Japanese, Chinese villain. I mean, now
Mm-hmm.
you have to be pigeonholed. You can't be a mixed person with a interesting background. Now you got to specifically have like some form of oppression tied to you. You got to be like Sam Wilson. Like you got to come back from war, and you got to be like, "Who are you? I don't know who you are. Are you okay, sir?" I'm away, girl.
Lucy Liu had a solution for that. Swing, slice off a head.
Right.
Now, if you mother has anything to say, now is the time.
Right. And that's that.
This meeting has been adjourned.
Yeah, and that's how we resolve that little plot hole right there, right? Because you don't have to talk about it anymore. It's like anything else, swing. But the second film, you know, if we're talking about the prequel stuff to it, I just love the opening because so the first opening in the first film, we see the bride, and that's something that Uma and Quentin had talked about. You know, they just started with an idea of a bloody bride, and then they kind of built on that. And so once we get to the second film, we now start to see what actually took place, you know, that they called, you know, the massacre, if you will. And now we actually see what actually happened. And then we move on from there. And now we go on to Vernita Green, which I love that one. Oh my God. Freaking Vivica Fox as Vernita Green.
She's like, come on.
Girl freaking in her way around a kitchen knife. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. I'm the real Black Mamba. I should have been the Black Mamba. I love that. I really did.
Bang, bang. They shot me dead. Bang, bang. That bloody sound. Bang, bang. My baby shot me down.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, we got more of the, we got more of the other characters. You know, we got...
He wore black and I wore white.
Yeah, we got Copperhead. We got freaking...
Yep. King California Mountain, Sidewinder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also got to say this too. I love the fact that the movie knew when to stop to give us a hilarious moment. Like, for example, when she says, "There you will find the resting place of Beatrix Kiddo," and then it cuts right to the classroom, and she's right there. Kiddo, here.
And she's like, goodness.
You guys covered all my favorite moments, but I also like the moment in the first one when it tells the story of Lucy Liu's character and it goes to Japanese anime.
Yeah,
done by Production IG.
Mm-hmm.
Great. You would think that would slow a movie down. I just think it just put me deeper into the movie.
That was some good Isaac Hayes.
Yes, it didn't take away from the film when they jumped to that scene of telling Lucy Liu's character in animation. It didn't take away from the movie. Like, oh wow, it shows you just what a badass that Lucy Liu character is. When it's time to get to their showdown, you know that it's going to be a real fight there. So just that's a good idea, good example of storytelling and pacing, and a little bit of prequel in there because she's telling the story of a scene like that would be a prequel after the movie was over. But
did you guys get a bit of a nice after seeing that segment? By the way, guys, did you notice that the boss Nakamura never did anything completely horrifying short of just stabbing Oren's mother?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Until we got to the point when you find out that he was actually a pedophile.
I was like, well, shit, because like that right there was a complete subversion of expectation right there. The more because I was a kid when I saw that and I saw him throw her on the bed, I was like, oh no. And then he takes the sword like, oh good, it's just a quick death. And then you hear, lucky for her, Boston Nakamura was a pedophile. I was like,
Mommy was a pedophile. Change the channel.
That's the thing about Kill Bill, though. It is such a departure, yet so much like a Tarantino movie.
Yeah,
right.
It was an experimental movie, and I liked it.
Oh yeah.
And I got to give props to Uma Thurman because I think she's a good actress anyway. I've seen her in a lot of other movies. She's a good actress anyway, but you really believed her in that role. Like you've got these
Mhm.
actresses today who don't look like they can whip some ass or they can't lift up a
Mhm.
sword, but she absolutely was convincing in that film. She was that girl and she was that woman. Even in her action scenes, I said, that is how you do an action scene with a woman. So I don't understand all this crap about women don't have action. I was like, did they not sit through Kill Bill 1 and 2? I mean, she
It's
covered
because of
everything, covered
it's
every
because of
single
the.
emotion.
Go ahead, Lampus. I'm
No,
sorry.
I said she covered every single emotion. She also was a mother in that film, and
Oh
still
yeah,
whipping ass, and still whipping ass, still
that's the
giving
reason why they
songs.
don't like her, Leia. She's a mother.
Oh,
That,
that's what it is.
that's another thing that bothers me is because with reset culture and the woke crowd and all this crap, their world didn't begin until 2014 or something like that. So everything before 2014 to them didn't happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They're act like they're the first at everything, the first ever this, the first ever that, the first this,
And
the
then they
first
say
that.
if you repeat it, this is also a very dark approach, by the way, but it's historically proven to have a good track record. If you say it enough and if you say it repeatedly and if you say it all the time, then it'll happen.
Yeah, yeah. It's what sticks because that's what you remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I
But
was gonna
yeah,
say something else, but lost my train of thought
uh
there.
the only
Oh,
thing I
right,
was
right,
gonna
right,
bring
right.
up, well, go ahead.
Kill Bill also introduced one of my favorite waifus,
Oh,
actresses,
oh.
Chiaki Kuriyama,
Is that the one who had that
Gogo
uh
Yabari.
I
that
like to go
Oh,
go.
okay.
Yeah,
The
yeah. That's
the
see,
kid with the blade at the end?
Yep.
go
Oh
go.
good lord.
No, no. What
Scared
y'all
the
really need to
crap out of me.
watch? What y'all really need to watch? Y'all need to watch Battle Royale. She is. Oh my goodness. I think. I really think he saw Battle Royale and saw her, and that's how she got into Kill Bill. Cause man, oh
Oh,
man, she feminized a dude in that movie. You,
Oh,
you, dude, you saw her spill a dude's guts out in Kill Bill. No, she feminized a dude in Battle Royale.
oh that's right. I read Battle Royale by the way, but I never saw the movie. I read the book. Not the book, read the manga.
Dude, watch the movie, man. I mean, it's far from perfect
hmm
Mm-hmm.
as an adaptation, but man, oh man, Chiaki is in that movie. I was like, oh, when, and bruh, you know how she got kill mode?
Oh.
hmm
Arrow scar the face. That's it. That's what
Ugh.
triggered her. And I'm gonna, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna show you the picture in private chat, or at least, you know what?
oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
share it with everybody. Actually, I'm gonna
Okay.
do that. I'm gonna do that for everybody. I'm gonna share the wealth, guys. I'm gonna share the wealth.
I was just gonna say
Man,
I liked Go Go. I did. I liked that
oh
little
man,
character from the fact she dressed like a little schoolgirl and laughed all cute and innocent, but she was deadly. She was.
Mhm.
I think
She was.
you say that, and I'm still going back to Battle Royale.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Well, I just wanted to get that in before you go to bed. I just had to throw that in that I liked her character. You may proceed.
I also liked how in Kill Bill they actually really showed the humanity to these like bloodthirsty killers.
Oh
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah,
There was
like
a level of humanity to each of them. Like one of the, I mean, I know this is technically not. This is a little less humane than what we got later in the movie. But the scene where she spares one of the one
All right,
crazy
guys.
lady,
It's in the private chat.
well, I mean,
when
we've
she
moved on to the
when she
humane
spares that
villain
one
because
boy from the.
we're getting away from actual violent scenes too. I've noticed. So
Next thing
Yeah.
you know, they're gonna take away the knives. They're gonna take away the guns. They're gonna take away any blood objects. Now people are just gonna slap fight, which I'm okay with watching that. That's hilarious. But it's nice to see somebody get bludgeoned.
Yeah.
uh,
We know it's fiction, but to these woke
There you go. Wolf Commander has showed us his disc side.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
well, only if it's justified, Wolf, or not.
Well, another thing too. I mean, I
Guys,
like.
I shared the image in the private chat if you want to check out
yeah,
the
yeah.
image I'm telling you about.
Yep.
Scooney, what were you saying about the humanity? Is that the scene where the bride, Uma Thurman spares the young boy after she's killed all the other Yusakas, and she said she let that one go.
Yakuza's,
And
yeah.
yeah, and the woman, she didn't kill her; she chopped her arm off. I forgot her name. The one that was
Sophie.
Sophie
Sophie.
Fatale.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she didn't kill Sophie Fatale. She let her live. She
That ain't humane. That's just a warning.
Yeah, that's
That
a
was
warning
Oh.
still.
when she didn't kill the boy. I thought that was hilarious because she just spanks his behind and says, "Go home to your mother."
She's like, this is what you get for messing with Yakuzas. Go home
Yeah.
to your mama.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's how you have to
I-
do it.
Yes, that's
because she well, you can interpret that in two ways. You can interpret that as that she's a more humane out of the divas, as they're called, the acronym for Deadly International Vipers.
Mhm.
Or you could also say that came from her motherly side, where she, or at least she's not, or at least you can say she's not in the business of killing children, of course. But
Well, that was the thing too, because what happened in the sequence was the light turned on and he's standing right there. That's when the room lit up, and she saw that he was just a scared kid, and she like stops what she's doing and then looks at him like, "Really?"
Yeah,
This is- she's
it's
like, "Really? This is how young they're recruiting now."
yeah. It's a whole tenet, of it's spare the rod, spoil the child is what that is. So
Yeah. But that's also what I thought was interesting about Kill Bill was the fact that they showed that there was a level of humanity to these characters.
I'm gonna leave that up there for you guys.
I see.
My words
mm-mm.
does not reflect this whole panel.
What was I gonna say?
I think what I'm sorry, Trooper.
Uh-huh.
I think what where the humanity comes in at is where you a lot of people reference the Bud scene where both Bill and Bud are having a conversation at Bud's trailer, and he talk about the Hattori Hanzo sword that he pawned off for what, $2K?
$200. No, I mean, yeah,
$200?
$2,000. Sorry.
Yeah, $2,000. And there's that moment where he says that woman deserves her revenge, and we all deserve to die. And again, so does she.
Mhm.
And there's a line he says, I think Schooner probably knows what I'm talking about. I don't judge grievance.
I don't.
Nor-
Yeah, he says I don't judge grievance, nor do I. Oh, hang on. I'm having a brain fart.
I default to Trooper because he's really good at remembering lines better than I.
Well, all I was going to say, it's like, one thing as far as don't let me veer off. I mean, at one point I kind of wanted to touch on Enterprise and I wanted to touch on Caprica. But
let's jump back into Prequel.
Yeah, like I also wanted to touch on Planet of the Apes with Mark Wahlberg too. I mean, that was
ahead.
on my list. Okay, so up to this point, I mean, we've talked about how like prequels can be prequel storytelling can be woven into a narrative for two films, right?
Yeah.
So, and in the green room, we also talked about retooling, a franchise, and that's where I kind of wanted to touch upon Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes with Mark Wahlberg, only because in this case it's a little different. I mean, the story changes somewhat, but as far as the costume and the prosthetics and all the
As far as we're gonna
all
give
the
that
special
movie,
effects, as far as the special effects, those were more closely hat tipping to the original Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston, and not so much the James Franco stuff where we started CGing, our
that could almost fit into that
protagonist.
universe in its own way too.
So
That's just me though. That's just me, having my own headcanon happening there. Every time I think of Rise, all the way up to War, I like to think that those are the I like to say that they're the true sequel. Sorry, sequel. The true prequel to the original franchise. Like, they're written in such a way that you can actually still fit them
Mm-hmm.
somewhere before the Charlton Heston film comes up. Now, again, the only thing that'll hurt them is the technology they were using for those films.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, when Charlton Heston comes back to quote unquote Earth in the future,
Mm-hmm.
the whole landscape has been so eroded and so changed to the point where you will never see a smartphone.
Yeah.
Only thing you'll see is a doll or a
Yeah.
toy here and there. You're not gonna probably see a camcorder here or there.
Yeah.
You're probably not gonna see gender neutral book.
Yeah. You're not
You
going to see any first world stuff anymore because, I mean, we're at a point where civilization is now remaking itself.
And
And what,
that's what I love about the original Planet of the Apes is how far in the future they went to the point where
Mhm,
nothing is recognizable
mhm.
anymore, aside from the Statue of Liberty being buried up to her armpits in ground and sand. Go ahead, Trooper. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take over the conversation there.
Oh, okay. Well, and here's the thing, it's there are a few movies. I mean, if we're talking about prequels, that well, that one in particular is a great example of how the makeup in art was more derived of the original source material than reinventing the wheel. That's what we subsequently got with that James Franco. I honestly want to call it the James Franco trilogy because, I mean, it's basically Planet of the Apes happening in real time, where Tim Burton takes it right into space. You do get a loose narrative of what's going on in space, but that's not the real story. The real story is what happens once he gets to Earth, and you start seeing these apes that you recognize from
Mhm.
the original material that was already out there.
I
So,
will
and
say this: the one thing that will break the continuity, or at
mhm,
least it will break the illusion that the and I call it an illusion. The illusion that the prequel, the Rise trilogy
mhm,
would be that if you do put it in the Charlton Heston universe, the gorillas are completely wrong in the Charlton Heston uh, originals.
mhm,
We all know that. We all know that gorillas are more gentle giants than chimpanzees.
yeah,
Yeah.
Whereas the chimpanzees are, of course, this is way ahead, way before more research has been made, of course.
yeah,
So let's not beat around the bush. The apes are poorly portrayed in the original Charlton Heston films,
yeah.
whereas in the Rise trilogy, and I'm calling the Rise trilogy, the oh, I like the same process calling the Caesar trilogy. Yeah, let's go with that. Caesar trilogy, they're more portrayed accurately. The freaking chimpanzees are freaking ape shit. Excuse me.
Mhm,
Whereas the gorillas are more gentle and not the soldier, the warmongering soldiers as they're portrayed in the original Charlton
yeah.
Heston versions. That's where the illusion breaks because that's what I say. Like it can work, but that's the only thing that's going to mess it up.
Well,
Is that
that goes back to our our last discussion last week. Don't change don't change artists interpretation of art. It's like
Yeah.
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 So I mean that's how this stuff was originally portrayed. You can portray it like that. You may not. I mean you can try to do service to the previous material. You don't have to, but you have to stay within the boundary of what's considered good. It's and that's pretty much
Well, that's another thing too that I think I left a comment on there. It's like there's a
yeah.
level of respect that you have to do when if you have to ask permission to change the artwork. Okay. Now, however
Mhm.
far you're gonna that change goes varies on art. It varies on the deal that the artist makes with the one who's going to change it. I mean, look at Star Wars is a prime example of that. As much as I rip on the sequel trilogy, George Lucas technically did sign it all over.
Oh yeah, yeah, and
Yes.
that's and
Hmm.
that's what it's like. Subsequently, what we're going to get from Disney is what we're going to get. Like we're not in a Russo situation where they're trying to get the rights back.
Yeah.
It's I mean, Lucas got his money. Is he gonna sue for the
Let's
IP?
face it,
Probably
Lucas
not.
should have did Gran Torino. Remember at the end of Gran Torino with the
Yeah.
wheel.
Yes.
What he says specifically about the conditions to the wheel if he gives it to somebody.
Yeah.
He's like, don't put them gay spoilers or change the color paint. So long as you agree to the terms, the car is yours.
Yeah. And he uses some very colorful language.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I think Enterprise, kind of moving into Star Trek a little bit. I mean, its main critique, with and we're talking about Enterprise with Scott Bakula. We're not talking Star Trek, generic Star Trek. Was that the overall visuals of the show looked too advanced?
Yeah, that was the main critique. But if you actually watch the show, it's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean,
What we talking about?
We're talking about Enterprise, Scott Bakula. We're not talking about the Xindi arc. I mean, that's when the show really started picking up its legs, and then we get the cancellation, literally season 4. That's it. It's in tradition.
Minus the finale of Enterprise, when they heard they were getting canceled, that's when they brought their A game.
Yeah.
That's when some of the best stories were coming out. So even when they were getting canceled, they brought their A game, which was, for a time at least, the same with Clone Wars. Remember when they found out the Ahsoka arc was going to be the last one, and that is some of the best I've ever seen in Clone Wars.
That was the best storytelling.
Right. It was.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, I think the other arc, the other arc that I was very pleased with Clone Wars was the Siege of Mandalore arc. That in and of itself, those episodes leading up to like the prequel trilogy, because again, I mean, as we're getting closer, like this was the conundrum that you get into with prequel storytelling. Now you kind of have to almost go full circle and try to explain away how these things happen. So I mean, I remember you posted your article on MeWe about the loopholes with the Ahsoka thing in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And the thing was with that, it's like, it's really funny. It's like it did close some loopholes, but it opened up, it opened up 3 more, or I don't remember.
It's a whole bunch more, because it is implying one thing, even though the movies are finitely, and I do say finitely say another thing. Okay, because this story is hinting at that it was Ahsoka Tano who was the last push that made him Darth Vader. And forgive my French, but what a crock.
Well, for me, well, I know a lot of the original trilogy, like old farts, go that route. No. I'm like, here's my thing. It's like, and I'm gonna get into my Kathleen Kennedy shoes here. It's like, look, sit down, boomer. Like, let me show you how cookies are really baked. Like, it wasn't that okay. It wasn't that Ahsoka was like, was the straw that pushed him. I mean, he was always going to be Darth Vader. That is set in stone. But the way I looked at it is, as far as Anakin making his
still back on Star Wars,
making his death, or rather having the death of Anakin Skywalker, and in comes Darth Vader. I mean, as far as Anakin's character, like, his humanity was constantly being hacked at by the Emperor. Inadvertently, what we got, or what we saw from Ahsoka's demise, if you will, on the Venator, was literally the last pieces of his humanity being hacked at. And what we got in that last scene, when Darth Vader's looking up and you can kind of see Anakin's eyes, what you can see in that, or what I interpreted from that last scene, is that he realized that he was tricked into being where he was at that moment, and it's like, well, I'm here now. So,
and again, I say, what a crock.
What? No, absolutely not. Because you got to remember, like, okay, so you had this brother sister bond that that was literally one of the last things to get taken away, because you had this whole love arc with Anakin and Padme, and that got taken away. But it's like that's more kind of thrown on Obi-Wan. You turned her against me. It's like, no, you did that yourself.
You turned her against me. You have
Have you seen
done
Sound
it
and Reaver's
yourself.
video
Do
about
not take her away from me.
Siege of Mandalore Trooper?
Which one?
Have you seen Sound Engraver's take on the Siege of Mandalore?
No, I
video.
stay away from Monday Night News. It doesn't fit my schedule. So
Yeah.
We're not talking yet. Well, she launched a video on Sunday.
Oh,
about
okay. Okay. And what was that about?
It was
Her
basically,
critique of Mandalore. Go ahead, Schooner.
well, no, go ahead. That's basically what I was going to say
Yeah, it was her critique on why it didn't work.
on the
Okay.
Siege of Mandalore. And she's right. It's the little things, and it's the little things that end up destroying the great things. That's why.
Well, what's the
Why does everybody love the prequel trilogies? Is because the little things work. Whereas in the new trilogy, they didn't even bother with the little things. They basically say, "Oh, it sells itself."
Well, are we talking about the prequels in comparison to the Disney trilogy? I mean,
The prequel compared to the Disney trilogy.
I mean, the Siege of Mandalore in and of itself is is supervised by Filoni. So I mean, he more or less is.
And he just brings Ahsoka all the way to the end.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, I mean, when we're talking about Clone Wars, we're talking about the directing supervisor, which happens to be Dave Filoni. So it's literally up to him to try to figure out a way to tie these ends together. Whether Disney was like, "Oh, we need another season of Star Wars," or the Clone Wars because we need these people to
what
come
that
to
was,
plus.
though, because Star Wars was in a bad way. So Kathleen Kennedy says we're greenlighting one more season of Clone Wars. So jump right on in, and most of the stuff was already animated with the exception.
Oh
of
yeah.
But of season 7, the Bad Batch trilogy is the best. I agree with the professor. The Bad Batch arc worked.
Well, honestly, I mean, it was okay. It was okay. Me personally, I didn't care. Well, it was good, but it's not like I really wanted to see what really, eventually happened to Echo.
Republic Commando.
Like I really didn't.
That's the only thing the Bad Batch is telling me. Just finish Republic Commando.
I mean, for me, as far as like the Clone Trooper arcs really ended with the death of Fives for me.
I was going to say that. I was definitely going to say that.
Yeah. So while I appreciate that he liked the Bad Batch, I'm like, okay, sure, why not? The Empire was already starting to, explore with eugenics in terms of the clone troopers. But this is
Order 66.
This is coming from a critic who more or less is more invested in the original trilogy now, saying, "Oh, but the Bad Batch was good." Okay, so then you're admitting that Clone Wars actually had good points to it. It's like,
well, yeah, Clone Wars has some epic parts to him. I don't agree with him of Ahsoka, his critique of Ahsoka in the Clone Wars series, but I do agree with the critique of Ahsoka in season 7.
Well,
because Sound Engraver did point out a lot of the virtue signaling SJW that went on in that.
Well,
episode.
And here's the thing, and I've said this before. It's like once we get to critical race theory, once we get to SJWs, if you look for it, you're always going to find it, and it's all confirmation bias at that point. I'm not saying that it was free of it because it obviously had the girl gang. I mean, who really needs spacefaring? Well, I was going to say who really needs spacefaring Puerto Rican females? I mean, I don't or New York or New Yorkers.
I got a question. Wasn't Rava originally a guy, but then they
he was also Asian, if I recall.
Well,
what it was, they and gender swapped him.
What it was is they were going to give Ahsoka more or less a love interest. But I mean, once you start giving a Jedi a love interest, you go right back towards the same road that Anakin takes down. Because anytime you give someone a love interest, we haven't seen a storyline that actually ends well. Because and it can be written in such a way that it could end well, but we never got a lot of that out of the EU, maybe out of the Leia solo, thing that, that arises from that. But I mean, again, to have something like that, it inevitably brings along, if, once we go into like Han Solo's offspring, obviously you're gonna get one lemon and all that, because again, to involve yourself with the Jedi is to bring about your own demise, or the demise of the universe, if you will, at one point. But because everything has to be so dramatized in space opera. That's just what space opera is.
Well, that's what it was. Yeah, it was space opera is the very definition of dramatization. But I get what you're saying. But
yeah.
Back to what I was saying. We didn't have the confirmation bias so much in the earlier seasons of Clone Wars. Yeah, the professor has his critiques of Ahsoka, but it really didn't become apparent until we got to season 7, which is kind of hilarious, because in Star Wars Rebels, I was on board with Ahsoka.
Well, which moments are they actually referring to? Because I'm sure they're not referring to the brother-sister bond they shared. They're pretty much saying, Ahsoka got away scot-free, blah, 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 yada, yada. Yeah. She's a Mary Sue.
In the case of the first 5 seasons of Clone Wars, I like to... I use my term for her, which is author's pet, which is not even to say that she's a Mary Sue. I said this to Silent Graver's post on her on the Professor Geek group when she was propping up her stream, and I said, there's nothing. Here's the thing about author's pet. There's nothing really inherently wrong for having an author's pet. It's more of a way of saying that author has a character that they have a favorite, which is they like to write this character. They enjoy writing this character. That's not to say that they take away the importance of other characters either. Like like you're gonna run into that if you start writing. I'm pretty sure Schooner has probably run into that. He's probably has a character that he likes himself, that he enjoys writing.
This is where the inner evil of me comes out, because when I was in college, they always said when I was writing, whenever you're going to write a character, always don't ever. Sorry, I need to get my bearings. The number one rule in character creation: don't fall in love with your characters.
Well, another thing that you're seeing is.
Secondly, they say don't be afraid to be a sadist. Hurt your characters through situations where they're not always going to come out clean.
Well, and here's the thing: what a lot of people tend to forget, and a lot of people tend to be very myopic about this, and it goes along with the prequel fans, the Clone Wars fans, and and the original trilogy fans, which there's a few of them, and they're all very myopic, because the original trilogy is really seeing the story through the lens of Luke Skywalker. And they always come back to, and this is why they tend to be hypocritical about this. Oh, it's a Luke Skywalker story. Well, you know what? Clone Wars was an Ahsoka Tano story. As much as we like Anakin, and yeah, he was around, and so was Obi-Wan and stuff like that, the actual audience is seeing the show through the lens of Ahsoka Tano. So if you go ahead and you kill off that character,
she's audience surrogate.
Yeah, she's a surrogate for the audience. So we kill off Ahsoka Tano, who then becomes the show. Are we going back to Anakin Skywalker again? We already know where he's going to end up. That's not really the story. It's the story of how we get to episode 4, or how we get to episode 2 or episode 3, if you will. So to say that, oh yeah, she never got harmed, she never got injured, blah 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 blah. It's like, well, truth be told, neither did Luke, because Luke did get his hand back. It's like, he got a robot arm, or rather he got an animated arm, but at the very end of the day, he got his arm back, or rather he got his hand back. At the cost of a piece of his soul. And that's what essentially I'm trying to get at with this whole Siege of Mandalore. Like, little pieces of Anakin's soul were constantly being hacked at. Whether that was, via circumstance or via machinations of the Emperor. If we're going to go ahead and add a Padawan to him, in Clone Wars, eventually that Padawan's going to be hacked away. Do we tell more Star Wars using that character, or do we just hack our way completely and then we just end up right back into the EU and right back into these same old stories, which a lot of the older Star Wars fans would love. The only problem is we're dealing with a company that is not interested in paying royalties. So that's why we're not getting any EU. And what we do get from EU is just like, it looks like Bastila or it looks like Thrawn, but it's not Thrawn and it's not Bastila. That's what we're going to get. So my point has always been is at one point we do have to move on.
Mhm.
And if we don't move on, we're gonna be crying about these arguments for the next 4 or 5 years while these people are busy kicking out more relevant content. Because that's where we're going with. Gosh, that's where we're going with all the shows that they've slated for Disney Plus. That's why they're going to be behind an IP, because they can get away with having them behind a paywall. Because then you can say, well, it's our stuff. If you don't like it, you don't have to pay the monthly fee. But if you like Star Wars, you're going to pay us $9 a month, and then eventually it'll be like Netflix. Then you got to pay $14 a month, and then we can still do whatever we want with our IPs. So, it is a good point.
I get what you're saying. If you don't like what you're seeing, write your own stuff.
Yeah. And
let's make our own stuff.
Yeah. It's, they didn't have to necessarily go with Dave Filoni when, Lucasfilm came up with the Clone Wars, but that's who they went with. And subsequently, that's how he told the story. And that's what a lot of people tend to forget. Like, how you write a male character is not how you write a female character. Unless we're turning Ahsoka into a phallic woman, which, that's kind of the interpretation that we're getting from some of these, people, is that, yeah, she's technically a phallic woman. Well, if she's a phallic woman, then she has no problem getting injured or getting hacked or whatever. It's like I'll call it a girly hero.
But that's another thing too, is that they say, women can do the exact same thing men do. Oh, but you can't put a woman through that kind of torture.
Well, yeah, those are all feminists. That's all theory talking points. Yeah. It's like you never actually saw that with Shira. Yeah, maybe she was weakened once or twice. But you get that when Ahsoka loses her lightsaber, she has to go looking for it. That's in one episode. That's actually one of my favorite episodes.
Lightsaber lost. I like that episode.
Yeah,
too.
That's actually my favorite, episode, because she does learn at the very end, the value of her lightsaber.
Was that the one where she was with those Padawans and that Wookiee?
No.
That was.
Does it still season 7? Because I remember her going through that same ordeal in season 4, I believe.
Well,
yeah, she was kidnapped by these hunters and set loose on a reservation.
Yeah, like her transformations are a little different. She goes from being kid sister to being a teenage sister to being like an older sister. Like as far as the versions of Ahsoka that we see, because you got to remember, technically it was a kids show. Although for all makes and purposes, it was not a kids show. So
no.
Yeah,
the scene that always sticks out in my head is when Cad Bane is breaking a Republic guard's neck.
Yeah, but that was under a guise of it being a kids show.
Or realistically, ramming his horns into Aguila.
Yeah, realistically,
and then cutting her.
We were all starting to age out, so it couldn't technically be called a kids show. That's where Rebels comes in, and it's more of a watered down version of Clone Wars in the sense
don't get me started on Rebels.
Yeah, in the sense of there's less gore or violence in it. You see some where it's implied,
and less of any likability.
Yeah, and then technically what ends up happening is Ezra Bridger is maybe like
Aladdin.
a Marty Stew, but not really, because that was the first critique when when his art
Space Aladdin.
Is Space Aladdin.
Well, that's another thing that bugs me, is that Ezra was not a really stable character, because he keeps changing in every single episode. One minute he's a smart, capable person, then the next episode he's an idiot.
Well, he was basically Link. He was on a never-ending quest to save his girlfriend, and it's like with him, it was a never-ending quest to get revenge on the death of his family.
You make me flash back to Xander from Drawn Together.
The true characters that should have been the center focus of the series would have been Kanan and Hera. They were the obvious characters that I liked.
Oh yeah.
They were the two fixed points, and I actually would have loved to have seen a series based around them.
Well, you saw what freaking Freddie Prinze did after he alienated his base. It's like,
Can we just separate the actor from the character?
Well, and see, that tends to happen a lot now.
He can be replaced.
Yeah. That tends. Well, you saw what they did with Cara Dune. I mean, if we say they can be replaced,
right.
But
let me shut my mouth.
But I mean, that's kind of where we're at. Where once good story. And see, that's when it's good storytelling, because you can no longer separate the character from the actual actor. It's because, I mean, they've put enough storytelling into it that it captures you, but not enough to say it's a good IP.
Trooper, let me shelve this conversation about Star Wars so I can move on to another show I want to talk about. That's essentially a prequel before Leia Plus Size is ready to leave. So I know we've been ragging on and on and on about how not to do a prequel. Let's talk about how, or we of course we also said a lot about the good that the Planet of the Apes did, if you want to count them as prequels to the original movies.
Yeah.
But what about a show that actually is built around the prequel of a movie as old as time, The Dark Crystal?
Oh, you brought that up. Yeah. I already told you. Yeah. Of course. Trooper will see himself out of this conversation because he's never seen the movie. Yeah.
I'm kidding. So,
I told you, Secret of Nim is as close as I get.
Secret of Nim is Don Bluth, not Jim Henson. Anyways, so what I want to cover is the Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, and this is one of my templates of what makes a good prequel series to an already established movie. Whereas the world of Thra, as the world is called in the Dark Crystal, is told in a time of where everything was good, especially when it's funny that I was watching this hoping to find any continuity issues that contradict what the movie had already set up. But as I told you guys in the green room before we started, that I really didn't find anything contradictory or anything that broke continuity with what was established in the movie. It added to the movie.
From the world to the puppetry, it was solid.
Yep. Donna Powell is actually going to add to this too. Go ahead, Leia. What you going to say?
I did see the Dark Crystal movie, and even though I was wowed by the puppetry, forgive me, I didn't like the movie that much. There was something in the storytelling, the puppetry, but I admire what
Jim Henson.
Thank you.
Let me tell Donna Powell real quick. Donna Powell, the series is canceled. There's never going to be a second season.
Which might have been a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing. Go ahead, Leia.
Oh, I was just going to say I admire what Jim Henson did as far as puppetry. That was absolutely gorgeous, and I think he should get more credit for that. But the story just didn't intrigue me. Now, my question is, I hate to get off of it, but another movie came out that was kind of like that, Labyrinth. Does anybody remember the movie Labyrinth?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Are you kidding me? David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly?
Yep.
Yes. Was that on the same line as Dark Crystal? I mean, there was a lot of puppetry in that film.
It is
Am I wrong?
puppetry, but it's not in the same universe as Dark Crystal. It's its own thing.
Okay.
It tells its own story. It has its own lore with the Goblin King and his role to fill as like the deal with the devil type of archetypal story that Labyrinth was telling. Um, as far as Dark Crystal's concerned, Dark Crystal was its own story, which is it's an alien world. I like to call it that. It's not really sci-fi specifically. It's fantasy, but it's an alien world
Yeah,
that's
it's dark
separate.
fantasy.
Yes, it's separate from our own, and there are different races there, like the ruling class Skeksis, the
Mhm.
uh the mm, the hippy dippy mystics or the Uru as they're called. For those who don't know, the mystics, the four armed old guys that go they're called no, seriously, that's what they
Mhm.
like.
I'm
That's
sure
how
they
they
do. I'm sure they do.
that's how
That's what they
well
do.
that's how they communicate in the movie. They actually do a little bit more to them in the actual show, which was actually pretty nice. But yeah, like they're that's what they're really called, the Uru.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Um, the Gelfling, of course, which was this was a nice touch that I had to give the show, are actually a eight. They have eight tribes from the warrior like Stonewood Gelflings to the matriarchal higher class, basically your garden variety of Lord of the Rings elves. I forgot their dang it. I should have had this ready by now. There's eight tribes. Let's just keep it at that. They got the elf kind. They got the Stonewood kind. They even got desert ones, desert gelflings. Um, and they even got ones that are woodland styled gelflings, which I'm gonna say Kira is probably from that tribe, from her connection to the animals to the wildlife.
Mhm.
Um, excuse me, hang on.
That's okay.
Take your time.
Yeah, let's talk about Caprica.
So, long story, long story short on Caprica, great idea, just didn't execute well.
Yeah, and even the cast was big names, just wasn't executed well. So
Quick shot while Wolfie is thinking. This is just a jump back to what we were earlier talking about. You were talking about the Black Widow movie. I hate to
yeah.
be a downer, but the writer of the Black Widow movie said she never read the comic
Oh yeah,
and
you
said the
know,
movie is way more of a political statement than telling.
yeah. No,
About
the
gun
crazy part.
control.
Yeah, the crazy part about that was, in talking about Black Widow, like I had a completely different idea of where it was going to go than once she came out and said, "Oh, it's a feminist message." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, so you got an act."
Now she's calling a feminist
Okay,
message. At
so you
first
got an axe
she was
wound. I got it. I'm bad. I'm a bad guy. I'm sorry for all the world's problems. Teach me. Sort of like Tilda Swinton. No.
okay. Okay, guys, I got it. It's actually seven, not eight.
Okay.
I knew it was seven, but I thought it was eight. But
Oh, like Aquaman.
so here's the Gelfling clans right here. Are you
Okay.
guys ready?
Yeah.
There's the Dosun, the Dritchen, the Grotan, Sifa, Spritten, Stonewood,
Mm-hmm.
and Bapra. I believe that Kira is from Vrapa. Dosan is from Desert. Hang on, let me see. Drenchen is a swamp. Grotan is they don't say yet.
Mm-hmm.
Sifa is sea, from the sea. Spritten are they don't say either. Stonewood is also woodland.
Okay.
And oh, they're also sea. I think it's I think Kira's from Grotan. But of course they're so removed from remove of the age of Krista of Truth that she wouldn't even know what clan she came from anyways, let alone Jin. Jin, however, I will say this: if you saw Jin's trooper, and if you saw Age of Resistance, you would assume that he was from Stonewood.
Okay.
because of colorization and skin color. Because Stonewood is brownish yellow,
Hmm.
and he kind of with a little bit of green, of course, and a bit of gray, but he kind of reflects that color scheme, and he's got he kind of got a little bit of warrior in him, and they're mostly warriors, or at least a warrior class like the other clan I just remember. Just reference that. I'm not gonna go back to fact check. Anyways, um, like I said, one thing that was gonna tickle my alert system about continuity and because the only thing you have to go from is the movie, right?
Hmm.
And of course the narration for those who don't know, um those who haven't seen Dark Crystal, it references the Skeksis in the beginning, in the beginning of the narration, where it said the clans, the like for there were many, but
Hmm.
that I had to read it. It said for there were many, but no. What the hell am I doing?
He's
I need to
getting all
drink some more.
tongue twisted.
It's only because this freaking energy drink is now freaking
Oh,
burning out
you're
of my
coming
system.
off
I
your
got
energy drink. That's hilarious.
yeah, that's basically
Oh,
what
that's
that is.
terrible.
Like I'm noticing that whenever time I get off that high, I get more hotter. I get slightly sweaty, slightly.
I'm sure your wife is like,
Oh,
"Hey," but
there's gonna be a lot. There's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna be saying, "Oh, Wolf is glistening. He's like a
wait,
Gap
wait,
model."
do wolves glisten? Well, no, I
Yes,
mean,
big list.
You get our fur wet, yeah. If you get our fur wet, yeah. Okay, dang it. All right, here I go. Here I go. I'm gonna read the narration lines.
okay.
So it says, in another world, another time, in the age of wonder, 1,000 years ago, this land was green and good until the crystal cracked. For a single piece was lost, a shard of the crystal. Then strife began, and two new races appeared. More on that later. The cruel Skeksis, the gentle
Hmm.
mystics, or Uru, here in the castle of the crystal, which is where the crystal is at for Trooper.
Hmm.
The Skeksis took control. More on that later. Now the Skeksis gather in a sacred chamber where the crystal hangs above the shaft of air and fire. The Skeksis, with their hard, twisted bodies, their harsh and twisted wills, for 1,000 years they have ruled. Key on that. Yet now there are only 10. Key on that too. A dying race ruled by a dying
Okay.
emperor, imprisoned within themselves a dying land. Today, once
Hmm.
more, they gather in the crystal as first sun climbs to learn to its peak. For this way, the Skeksis, as they ravish the land, so too they learn to draw new life from the sun. Today, once more, they will replenish themselves, cheat death again through the power of their source, their treasure, their fate, the dark crystal. And he also continues, but today the ceremony of the sun gives no comfort. Today an emperor lies dying. Today a new emperor must seize the throne. Which, going by that, I mistakenly as a child thought those were the only Skeksis that are in existence.
Okay.
But what the narration was telling us was that if for those who have a keen reader's observation, um what the narration is saying, there used to be more. When he says now there are only 10 in their clan,
Hmm.
the narration also referenced the Uru too, saying that now there are only 10 as well, which means they're linked to the Skasis. If one dies, the other one dies too.
Hmm.
So I was looking to like, hey, excuse me, hang on. Last time I checked, there were only 10 of these mothers.
No.
And
Oh
one
no.
and one just get killed near the end of the series, and I'm gonna spoil this. But
Yep.
Okay.
one gets killed near the end of the series, and I'm like, hey, hold on. Ain't he supposed to show up in the movie? Oh, that's a father. Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was my point. That was going to be my next point of contention. I'm like, hey, hang on. He's a general, but he dies. But what about this? Okay. It also explains why the new general in the movie don't like the Chamberlain.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
I always thought it was just his annoying.
I hate your whimper. Mm. By the way, I believe Mark Hamill voices one of the Skeksis
Hmm.
in Age of Resistance. I thought it was Skeksil, the Chamberlain. That no, it was actually the scientist, I believe. I could be wrong. Jason Isaacs voices the Emperor at the time, by the way,
Hmm.
Good
which
actress.
is pretty cool because the Emperor has a deep voice, whereas the Emperor that dies in the beginning has this very cackly, scally talk. I am still Emperor. Nine, Mac, Mac, stuff like that. But I digress. Where am I going with this? Let's get to why this show is so good in establishing how or at least for me what sets a precedence of what makes a good prequel to an already established property,
Hmm.
which is it expands more on what was produced by the movie, which is ten clans of Uru and Skeksis, the last two remaining Gelflings. So let's say back then there was more Gelflings. What people didn't know that the Gelflings are also ruled by tribes. What people
Hmm.
don't also know is that only females have wings. Now, I dare how it should have ended to really try to make Kira fly and jam the shard in the crystal.
Hmm.
Because I will debate them on that. It's like, hey, bruh, hey, bruh, hey,
Hmm.
bruh, you me- you do realize that she is far removed from her tribe, that she wouldn't even know how to fly. She can only muster gliding. So it's perfect. It's perfectly fine for her to just glide down there, grab the crystal, and. But I'm going on a tangent.
Hmm.
That's me preparing myself for how it should end if they ever did try to do Dark Crystal, which I doubt they will. I doubt they're good people though. But anyways, like I said, the good thing about expanding on established properties is the fact that they add they add more things and not change not much things, and they still gave us unique characters. You had oh, what was his name? Sorry guys, I'm so out of order. Rian, voiced by Eggsy from Kingsman.
Mm.
Yep,
Oh, his I forgot his name. I know you about
Taron Egerton. I just wanted to just point out his name.
Edgerton. Yeah.
Yeah, Taron Egerton, who was also Elton John in Rocket Man.
Rocket
Hmm.
Man.
I finally realized why Elton John was in Golden Circle. I finally now we know,
Yes,
which
we
is
did. Yes,
which is
yes.
why I'm not as pissed off as about Golden Circle as everybody else is. I'm like, oh, now I know because Elton John was because I guess Elton John gave Taron his blessing to portray him in Rocket Man. So long as
There
he
you
gets
go.
so long as he gets a cameo in Golden Circle, I guess.
Hmm.
Fair trade. All right then, Elton.
That is true.
Hmm.
Anyways, so they also established Agra as this being connected to the world of Thra. Schooner, you probably know who that is, right?
Mm.
She's this old wizened creature of ancient
Yeah.
beings. Um, when you look back into the movie, people. I remember in the comments and YouTube videos involving Agra,
Mhm.
especially the classic one. They question why the Skeksis don't remember Agra. Well, they are decrepit. So and
Precisely.
they're already in the eve of their decrepitness and they're a dying race. Of course, they've already at the height of their they've already at the height of their rule. So Agra wouldn't be much of a she
Inconsequential.
Hmm.
basically she's basically in her Ori, which is that observatory like laboratory that she pretty much toils away for years, monitoring what was called the Great Conjunction, which is end of the world or the beginning. No kidding. Um, I know Square like that line.
Yep.
She's a beast in that show too. Like
Yes, he is.
she. I gotta give a hand to whoever portrayed her in the in Age of Resistance. They gave her more speaking lines. She almost speaks like Yoda, except for she don't speak backwards. She almost speak in the third person in a
Hmm.
way. But they kind of gave her more of a mystical talk about her way how she talks,
Hmm.
Yeah.
which doesn't really betray her character later on in the film. Which
It
oh
hints that she is of two worlds.
yeah, and it gives it again it gives her more of a mystique type of thing where like you kind of see her in the movie where she's like this bumbling witch like character. But when you get to Age of Resistance, boy, I was really worried how they're gonna handle Agra, and thankfully they allayed my fears.
Well,
They
that
they
was that's what I loved about the Dark Crystal because it's clear that there was a level of discipline and a real passion for what uh, Jim Henson's vision was in the 1982 film.
it was done by people who cared about his creation, and I think it was the Henson Company, Jim Henson Company. I think it's still run by his son.
That is
Last time I
correct.
checked, and that's probably why it was good. It was really good. It's not for everyone, mind you. It's not really for everyone
It
because
caters to a selective audience, and I think that's what that was both the greatest asset of Age of Resistance, but what ultimately also led to its premature cancellation
yeah,
because it was
it
only Dark Crystal fans who really enjoyed it.
right. Sadly, uh, Leila, did you check out any episodes of Dark Crystal?
No, I did not. I saw a few, but I sort of checked out
Hmm.
again for the same reason of the movie. Again, I admire what Jim Henson did as far as the world of puppetry, the
Hmm.
visuals, and what he did with puppetry and how he showed that puppetry, there's so much more you can do with it. But the story just didn't suck me in like I wanted to be. So when there was announcement of the show, I watched it for a while, but I just couldn't draw myself into it. So I
Right.
just of it. But I respect what Jim Henson did, and because nobody else
Hmm.
has really done puppetry like that. So I give him mass credit for it, but I just
Not
think the
only
story
that,
just didn't work for me.
it was also really not pushing that kid-friendly nature. It was going for more mature storytelling.
Ooh,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, and I think
how
and I think
in
that's
Age of
what
Resistance? I mean,
and I think that's what hurt the movie because when the movie originally in theaters, because here's the thing, when the Dark Crystal opened, the biggest movie at that time was E.T.
hmm
And there was no way the Dark Crystal was going to get that ET audience. Everyone was going to see ET, the extraterrestrial. I know this. I remember. My memory goes back to when it was playing in the theater, and
this is
ET and the
why I hate
line.
ET now.
ET, ET. I still love ET. How can you
Every,
hate
t- every time I see
I
ET,
don't
I'm
blame
like,
Jim
F
Henson.
ET.
I don't blame Dark ET for Dark Crystal's failure. I mean, you're going up against a Spielberg movie in the '80s. Come on, the '80s belonged to Spielberg.
And you're right, Scooney. I absolutely agree. He owned the 1980s, and
And
also about
F.
80.
Steven Spielberg.
Oh, come on.
Come on,
Dang
man.
it, dang it, Spielberg. Why you gotta be too innovative, man? You could take a break. You could have taken a break.
Well, what do you mean he's doing? What do you think he's doing right now?
Finally,
Take a break, but you know what?
took,
I'm going to say this right
took your
now.
ass long enough. Excuse me.
I'm trying to remember what his last movie was. It was either Lincoln
Mostly war movies.
or
His
Bridge of
last.
Spies.
Bridge of
Well,
Spies. I
he
think it was Bridge of Spies.
he took a long break because he sold out. He
Mm.
sold out, and he caved. And no, I don't know, Scooney.
Oh,
I
you're
don't
right.
know.
Ready Player One was his last current movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his last. And then even people didn't like that. They thought he lost his touch. He thought he could come back into that genre and dominate it the way he did in the 80s, and it didn't work because to me, he sold out and cave in to the pressure from Hollywood to be like them. What made Spielberg great is that he made movies for the audience, for fans, for us. You had Close Encounters, you had Jaws, you had Close Encounters, then you get E.T., then you had the Jones movies, which he was part of. He was making
Not so
films
much
for,
now.
yeah.
But his historical films are incredible.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No denying that. No denying that either.
Bridge of Spies and even Lincoln were incredible.
Okay, Lincoln I liked. Lincoln I did like. Yes, I did like Lincoln. Some other ones I wasn't too big of a fan of. Empire of the Sun and
What about Saving Private Ryan?
I thought it was okay. I'm sorry. I really wanted to love it, but I get what you're saying, Scooney, but I also think there was a little bit of selling out a little bit because he totally turned his back on that genre because see what gets me. Those films, E.T., Raiders, Close Encounters, those films are just as good as his historical dramas. E.T., they're just as good, but Hollywood looks down on movies like that because they feel that they're for the audience, and Hollywood kind of feels, and I've heard discussions about this on the YouTube channels. Hollywood feels we as moviegoers, we don't know, we're not cultured enough. They don't know movies, so it's up to us as Hollywood to teach them what storytelling is all about, or what they really want to see in film. That's why they don't like films that are blockbusters, don't get many Oscar nominations because they feel they're good stories. And that's just not true. That is just not true. So, and that's always bothered me. So I do feel like, in a way, he caved into the pressure to be accepted by Hollywood. He wanted to be accepted by Hollywood. He wanted to be at the cocktail parties and be accepted by the elites. And I think that's what happened. Even though Lincoln is a film I did like, but I still feel like he made a sacrifice. He made a deal with the devil. I want those awards. I want to be accepted by Hollywood, but I'm going to turn my back on the public that helped me get to where I'm at. So that's where I see him at kind of right now. And he hasn't, because he was offered to direct Harry Potter movies and he told them no. He just told them, I just couldn't direct another Harry Potter
Probably a good
film with
thing.
you.
Well, when they asked him to direct Harry Potter, he wanted Haley Joel Osment to be Harry Potter.
I see.
Like I said, probably a good thing.
Because that's the thing. Steven Spielberg basically said, if you're going to give it to me, I'm going to do it my way.
I see. Okay.
And he was Spielberg, as much as the Hollywood elites want to say he's not one of us, he makes Spielberg, what is it? What was I going to say?
Park.
As much as he makes them, he's not one of them, as they say. He makes a lot of money, so they say that man gets whatever
he's useful.
Yeah, that man gets whatever he wants. But you also have to understand when Steven Spielberg signs on, this becomes Spielberg's movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was
you got to deal with that.
Yeah. I mean, did you know that the Paranormal Activity movie, the very ending with Mika, that was suggested by Steven Spielberg?
Huh.
And that was suggested by Steven Spielberg, and they went with that ending because they basically said, if Steven Spielberg suggests it, you do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm seeing some things. I'm not gonna put it on screen, but Sam Parta has a comment that's very disturbing.
Oh. Oh, that is that. Should we be frightened? Should we run? Should we look at the skies or be afraid?
It
Be very afraid.
Ah,
Simple
just
man.
like
fact of the matter is,
Pinocchio.
the
Just
simple
like
fact of the matter is,
Pinocchio. A lot of people went to Pleasure Island, and I'll leave it at that.
Mhm.
the fact of the matter is that
Ah, diddly-dee, it's Pleasure Island for me.
Oh no, no.
no,
Oh goodness.
Puts that song into a new context, doesn't it? Thank
It
you.
sure does.
I'm
Sure
not.
does.
Mhm.
I will not apologize for that either. So don't
I
demand
think.
one.
Okay, I think I get
I'll
the
save
idea.
I'm gonna save what I'm gonna say for a conspiracy theory stream.
Okay, I
Does
think I know what the. I think I know what the comment is now. So okay, I think I know
Anyway,
now.
Oh
Yeah,
goodness.
I'm not apologizing for that one.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. I mean,
YouTube. I dare you. Game on, buddy.
oh,
But
Anyways,
anything.
I
No,
was
I
just
keep
gonna.
going. It's good stuff.
I was just gonna. I, w-
go
I,
ahead, Leia.
I was just gonna say, yeah, it's good he didn't do Harry Potter because I think the British cast works the best for that film.
Hmm
It's like Doctor Who. It should stay a British cast. So yeah, I can see why he didn't do that one. Okay,
Well,
I'm
I was
shocked.
gonna
that
say,
beautiful little segue back into prequels. What about Doctor Who?
Hmm.
Okay,
oh,
no, no. When you mean prequel, how do you prequel Doctor Who? Are
I am
you
not a Whovian, so
Well,
again,
it's because it was revealed that the latest incarnation they just basically retconned the entire
what was it?
series.
What was it?
Oh,
Chim-
oh
We're
my.
we are not gonna get
was,
into let's just let me put it out right now.
is
We're not
is
gonna get
it?
into Doctor Who.
Was it that
But
whole? Was it that whole? It was
Yeah,
Agatha
yeah,
all along thing
kind of,
along that
but
kind of vein. Okay.
kind of, but we're not gonna.
it's
That's a for if that we're not Hoovians in this stream. Not gonna
I'm
touch
not
that.
a,
I
Well,
I
except for Schooner, it seems.
I am too. So we'll just it's your stream, but I am a Hoovian, and I
Okay.
oh,
know
are
it's
you really?
yes,
Okay.
yes. And Scooney, that was sacrilege what they did. That's what I'm going to
Uh-huh.
say. That was just God-forsaken trash, garbage, insulting sacrilege. What they did is
I know
it's
what they did too.
absolute
I
is
know what they did.
I know.
absolute
You could
south.
actually, and you could actually easily fix that.
Oh yeah.
All you
Mhm.
have to do is just simply say the master was lying.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
Duh.
he was lying.
Yes, they
That's
did.
all you have to do to fix that.
What's another good prequel that actually adds more context and more expansive information to a series? You guys help me out here.
Like in comic
Actually,
books, or like, because I mean, we've stuck to films like a lot.
actually,
And
actually, Dominic Powell brought up anime. Did anybody watch any anime that was essentially a prequel to an already established series?
the
Yes,
only type of anime I was really exposed to was what Voltron, and then anything that came out of the 80s in
He
terms
also brought
of.
up Fate Zero, I believe.
the
I
fake
mean,
I couldn't get into because there's a lot of it.
Oh, it's a Bible. It's a complete Bible.
Yeah,
There's, I believe there's Zoid's Chaotic Century, which
that
is
was actually pretty good.
which I don't know if I can call that a prequel though. I think I can call it an established lore
I
for
think
the Zords universe.
I think it can fit into continuity because it's set so far back. Because it's only referenced once in Zoids when they're using Zoids now for games, but they talk about how once Zoids were used for warfare, which would later.
You're talking about Battle Century.
Yeah, and Chaotic Century is clearly the prequel to that, but it's set so far back that it's so removed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Battle Century was basically where they use Zoids for gladiatorial entertainment now, just like G Gundam. G Gundam was Mobile Fire. G Gundam was kind of like that. Mobile Fire G Gundam was interesting because I did not know they broke that world into pieces.
Hmm.
At least brought the continents out into orbit. That was weird. Anybody know about that?
Well, it's just I call it anime logic because it's that crazy. That crazy that you know what what I love about the craziness that they try to do in anime is that they set it in a fantastic setting and then bring it straight into realism. So first they say the continents are out in space, then they go into the science on how detail oriented it is to keep them in space. That it's like, okay, I can follow it. I can dig it.
This is also in the universe. Oh, go ahead, Leia.
No, I was just going to say that I have to bow out now.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yep. This is, as always, this is fun. It's been a great conversation with all three of you. So I have to bow out now to things to take care of. So, but this is Wolf. This was great as always. This was a very fun conversation.
Speaking of how we mentioned Harry Potter, our next next topic this Thursday we'll be talking about Chosen One narratives, requested by, I believe it was either Victoria Fagba. I believe it was Victoria Fagba that requested I wouldn't say
quickly. What do you mean by chosen one narrative? Are you what do you want us to expound on so I can
Skywalker, She-Ra, He-Man,
kind of like basically we'll talk about how a person was chosen specifically to do something. I'm also going to talk about prophesized heroes or prophecies that were done in a way that's not completely on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Or stuff like that, or at least we'll talk about our favorite chosen one narratives or our favorite chosen ones in any entertainment. So those of you who are in, yep, it was Victoria Fagba. Thank you, Victoria. So thank you for requesting that, Victoria. Actually, you know what? Now I'm bringing this up. I think it's a good time to start wrapping it up. We can continue this talk some other time because I'm pretty sure we can. We'll probably have some new stuff to talk about if we want to start a prequel storytelling talk again.
Oh yeah.
Next Tuesday, I know you guys been wondering when I'm going to bring this back. We'll be talking about shows that we enjoyed from back then and beyond.
Yes.
So I would definitely be of course that time I'm definitely going to be starting first because we all know the Wolf Commander didn't get a chance to talk his shows that he enjoyed. I'm pretty sure I gave you guys a sample of last Thursday of what I was going to talk about, of course. Sadly, Schooner wasn't there when I did that, of course, or we did in the back room. Probably did in the back room. Anyways, so I like to thank. With that being said, I'd like to thank everybody for showing up. For those for those 8 of you and 9 of you, whenever time the count kept fluctuating. Thank you for listening to us. I know we were all a place we kept defaulting back to Star Wars, which I understand. It's a very prominent prequel trilogy that everybody remembers specifically so well. But hopefully we could cover some other prequels for part 2. Leia Valley, if you want to dip out now, you can. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, sure, no problem. Like I said, I had a lot of fun. And next week, since you talked about chosen ones, I think you have a pretty idea.
This Thursday.
This Thursday, you probably have a pretty idea who I'm going to come up with first. So I'm just going to leave that there. So,
of course.
Yeah, and then and also I have to get ready tomorrow because I am in a rewatch with I forgot Daniel Heron. Yeah,
you're definitely part of songs. Apparently, you have been recruited to Songs with Birdman.
I've been there. Yes, for about the first one was Captain America: The First Avenger, Captain America: Winter Soldier. We did The Shadow, and tomorrow we are doing Captain America: Civil War. So
awesome.
Yep.
So yeah, thank you for joining us.
Sure.
I'd like to thank Trooper FN 2525 for regaling us with his usual talk. Go ahead, Tripper, sign
No,
us out.
I mean it's been fantastic. I'm glad everyone joined us today. Again, you know what? Put some ideas in the comments. You know, what do you think is your idea of really good prequel storytelling, and which are some of the franchises that did it best? As always, like, share, subscribe. You can find us on MeWe. You can follow us by our handles. Obviously, I was kind of playing with mine earlier today with this whole prequel stuff, but definitely had a good time. So thank you to Leia, thank you to Wolf and Schooner for kind of chiming in on some good ideas. And by all means, join us again.
Watch Dark Crystal in its series
Okay.
if you want to. That mean
Do it.
if you want to,
All right.
Do it.
do it. Thank you, Schooner, for joining us as well. Sign us out, buddy.
All right, coming at you live from a secret government facility buried deep underground that has excellent Wi-Fi. This is Schooner Tuna signing out. Bloop, 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 bloop.
And definitely the lovely lady about her. Go ahead again. Take care and good luck on the Songs of Birdman tomorrow. And definitely thank you for joining us. I know that this was kind of a big topic that you know we were sometimes I know I'm trying to find topics where you feel like you can contribute, and you know that it's hard for any of us to jump in because I'm so disorganized with it.
Commander, it's okay. I had a wonderful time as always. It's always a party here. So I had a wonderful time. I like to hear everybody's different comments and different takes on things. That's what makes it entertaining. And it just shows you how that's how conversations are had, even though we may agree or disagree or see things differently.
Right.
I've always
Like
had a
me,
wonderful time.
like you and me with the Black Widow and Bruce Banner relationship, or at
Yes.
at least Sharon Carter and Captain America relationship.
Yes. Yes.
That was a bum rap right there.
What happened?
No, that was a bum rap because they just dropped that relationship altogether.
Oh yeah, you can't have purely
I will
masculine and feminine relationships in stories
I will
anymore. That's
never
bad.
forgive you for that.
They got
And
to
on
be
the show-
non-binary and Latinx stumps. You know, it's like
Yeah.
you got to throw all that in there. Make sure. It
I
checks the
will
boxes.
never forgive them for denying us Sharon and Steve.
And you won't get it back because on the show they've done something with Sharon that completely trash that you won't get it.
Oh, what
Okay.
was that?
Please.
Is he a
Sharon.
maintaining,
You know what? Tell me.
maintaining lesbian now?
Tell me what they did with Sharon. Just tell me.
She is now the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. and has denounced all male relationships.
Oh goodness.
Okay, I can get behind her leading Shield. I cannot get behind male relationships.
Yeah,
What the hey?
Well, she's saving herself for America Chavez. I mean,
That's stupid.
That's I hate to say it, but it looks like that's kind of a direction they want to go in.
yeah, because
Yeah.
You know
you
what?
got to sub one cap for another cap. It's
Now
just,
that you're bringing that up, Leia,
Yeah.
I'm gonna restart the representation versus identity validation part 3.
I love that topic. I love that topic.
We're gonna talk more about it because that's been something I've been wanting to talk about for the longest time.
That's gonna be fun.
I think I picked the right year to start talking about this.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, guys,
Yes. Mhm.
so going over what's going on today, I'm be joining Matchstick and crew again later on for Culture Fortress. Schooner will be joining me as well this time as a guest star because Age Boomer has he will not be joining us tonight. He has things to do. I believe the professor is concluding his Narnia
that
book
should be
reads.
wrapping up.
Yeah, with the silver chair.
Mhm.
Tomorrow, of course, Leia Plus Us will be with Dan Heron and Age Boomer with Songs of Birdman. On that same vein, I will be at a mandatory meeting tomorrow with my work, but I will be joining Green Lion Girl with a rewatch of Last Order Final Fantasy VII.
Mhm.
I believe that's what the rewatch is tonight,
Ooh.
tomorrow night.
Okay.
Final Fantasy related, of course, as always, which I'm always there for. Thursday, I already told you guys what was happening on Thursday in WCR.
Mhm.
Same vein. I believe that Professor and Al will be starting a new book study on a Star Wars EU book. I'm not going to call it Legends. It's EU. So I think they're going to be doing, or probably doing. No, he's actually going to do Kotor. He's doing Kotor.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. That sounds like okay. That sounds
Yeah,
good.
he's been wanting to do Kotor again. He wants to keep continuing the story about that, so he's definitely doing Kotor on Thursday. Friday, maybe Fan Man might be doing something on Friday or probably Wednesday. That man's got a weird schedule. Unfortunately, I will not be joining Troy on Friday Night Last Call because I will be starting work that day.
Woohoo!
Yes.
So
Well,
it's
good,
even.
good for you.
Thank you.
Work it, don't twerk it.
Ah,
Oh my
nice. So that's going to be happening for me all weekend, by the way. So I'll be probably late on some rewatches,
Mhm.
and probably not going to be joining Matthew Flynn and Troy on Sunday because I work early on Sunday. But I probably will be there in time for Geeky Geezers with Troy and H Boomer, and I don't know if Match still continues any Sunday rewatches. I think he's committed to Culture Fortress though, so no more rewatching. Probably no more rewatching with Matchstick and Wolftan on Sundays with Mr. Matchstick. Monday will be Monday Night Muse Sound Engraver. Brilliant stream from her yesterday, and hopefully we'll be looking forward to more brilliant streams that she will do next Monday. So
Mhm.
be on lookout for that. With that being said, ah, you funny, Samuel.
Ow! Ow!
He said
Oh my goodness.
he says telling Wolf not to twerk is typical, especially considering his track record in the first identity validation. I don't even know what that's in reference to. What did You guys know that normally when I say some things, I tend to forget.
Mhm.
At times, I have terrible selective memory, so there are things I do remember what I said, and then I probably was talking about that one troglodyte that freaking danced on Lincoln Memorial where Martin Luther King made his speech.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Maybe I don't know. Anyways, guys, that's all I have to say. Oh wow, he says I still have mental scars. I'm going to go and rewatch that to see what the heck did I do.
I
Anyways,
don't know. I don't know. I mean, last I remember is you put a post on MeWe, and then I had my eyebrows singed, so it could have been that. Like, when we're talking about Octo Woofy, it's what's for
oh,
Christmas.
I think I know what he's talking about.
Mm.
The artwork. Gotcha. Anyways, yeah. Well, Leia wasn't around when that happened. When they saw the artwork on MeWe.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, everybody, love you all. Stay safe out there. Definitely stay safe this time around.
Mhm.
Um, keep enjoying what you love. Don't always target what you hate. As the saying goes, be the change, become the change, chase the dream, be the dream, all that jazz. Love with love. This has been your Wolf Commander Wolf 10. I'm your werewolf. Signing out. Ow!